Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Swing and a miss, struck him out. And the Red Sox sweep the Yankees. That has a sweet sound to it. And the Red Sox have won 5 straight. Pulled into left field by Stanfield, and it drops down a base hit. Hernandez scores. Curiel stopped himself at third, and LSU strikes first in the second. Line to the backside in the left, and it drops down a base hit. Milam to the plate. Davalon's throw is cut, and it's 4-1 LSU. Pulled, well struck by Guzman. Throws his back, and it is gone. Guzman goes deep and adds to the Arizona lead.
Look at there, just barely touched it, Dan.
J.J. Spot! From 40 feet.
Want to cozy it up. Don't need to make it. 2 putts.
Good morning. Welcome in Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, DB?
What is up?
I want you to know I turned around on JJ Spawn.
Yeah.
Listen, I was wrong.
I should have taken the free money.
You should have. But I learned something about JJ this weekend.
What's that?
That I'm all in now. My guy is a fellow type 1 diabetic.
Oh, God.
I was unaware.
I should have known.
So I'm in now. We're in.
I should have known.
So we all won the U.S. Open this weekend.
I thought you were going to talk about how he watched the Wimbledon movie. The Wimbledon movie, and he got inspired by it since you're all about tennis.
That's a bad movie. I do like it, but it's a bad movie. It's a Wimbledon.
What is it?
It's like a romantic comedy around Wimbledon. It's pretty bad.
Oh, okay. Shane, that's how you're getting down?
And that's how JJ gets down, but I'm down with JJ. So
We let him pick the winner.
Yeah, we did. I really never, in a million years, I never thought it would hold up.
I'm like,
that's the thing. Like that course, though,
geez.
The way that thing played, if you played well and teed off in the morning on Thursday, you had a huge advantage the rest of the weekend.
Oh, apparently.
Because no one else even came close.
That was incredible.
Like his lead held up for 4 days because that golf course was miserable.
Well, and here's the thing, too. The scoring averages were so high, you didn't even know what to add if you missed the cut.
Yeah, honestly, so I was doing the math here. Missing the cut actually helped me.
Yeah.
Because I had 3 guys barely miss the cut, and that was better than you having a couple guys that made the cut and then got busted.
Yeah.
Like it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough out here.
I'm well aware. You had one guy finish in the red.
Yeah, Schillerberg won over there, so congratulations, Shano.
Yeah, because he not only had Spawn, he had Rom.
Yeah.
And that's good enough.
Which, honestly, he probably listens to John the most, Rathaus, when we're talking to him, because he picks directly off of that list. Because who are the 2 guys that he mentioned? He mentioned Spawn and the leader, and then John Rahm.
But I was the one that asked about Rom, so I feel guilty. I'm like, God.
I know, you let him right to water.
I'm like, are we sure we're going to let him do that? If Fleetwood would have made a run,
yeah,
I would have.
You'd had a shot.
It would because we let him take Fleetwood late.
That's right. You'd have been really mad at me if he made a run.
So I'm like, I don't know. We gave him pretty much every built-in advantage, but
so each of us has won one now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so that sets up nicely for the last one.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. Be fun for us.
Yeah, it's not. I was laughing at you guys because it was like plus 4 isn't enough.
No, it probably wasn't.
And then Jacob with this is all gibberish to me. What do you think he did for his birthday?
Watch basketball.
If
I had to guess, that's probably about it.
What, on tape delay?
No, he probably. I think there was some. I think
he was back from Kansas City.
Yeah, I thought there was. I might be thinking of the wrong day. He'd been going to some of these summer league games here in Omaha, so the high school summer league. I thought there was something yesterday, but I might be wrong.
Not they typically don't play on the weekend.
Oh, okay.
And they might have been open this weekend, but I don't know.
If not, he probably hung out with his family, if I had to guess.
Old JP.
Yeah. He's he's not as old as me. He's,
ripe old age of 28.
I think he's a little older than that. Not a lot, but I think a little. I think he's early 30s.
29.
29?
I feel like we should know.
I want to say he's like 32.
That sounds made up.
I might be shooting high.
That sounds pretty made up.
Yeah, I'm probably shooting high. Maybe you're probably closer. Probably 28, 29.
So was that any fun watching?
Golf?
Yeah.
No, not at all. I hate that. That's like my least favorite thing.
Yeah, I went back and forth. I'm like,
that's the golf version of watching like 05 Pistons Spurs. It's just a bludgeoning.
But with the shots guys were hitting, so it just didn't seem like they were good shots, bad breaks. It was like if you didn't put that thing in the fairway, it was almost impossible to hit a good shot.
Yeah, you had no chance. Did you see some of the footage of like the standing water in the roughs, basically?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, on Saturday, you see they mowed Saturday morning?
Yeah. Like,
it was just a smidgen, though.
I'm not one of those people that's like, yeah, I want them to suffer. I want them to look like real people. And like they hit bad shots just like me. It's like, no, I'm watching professional sports because I want to see them excel.
Yeah, it's just weird seeing a 10-foot putt with like 6 feet of break.
Yeah, it's going to go as far horizontal as it does vertical.
The math doesn't even math, but that's the shot some of these guys were.
It's wild.
The putt some of these guys were trying to make.
Like if I wanted to watch people struggle at golf, I just go out with my buddies. I don't need to watch it on TV.
Yeah, it was.
You know what I mean?
It was, and I watched it.
Yeah.
I mean the quad box. I didn't love the quad box options this weekend.
No, they weren't great.
No, they were horrible.
Sometimes they throw like a random thing in there too.
Yeah, like Judge Judy.
Yeah, like some random TBS show or something. Like, what's happening right now?
Like, are we really?
We out here, right?
And degree because where are they next year? Shinnecock.
I
think next. Yeah, I think
that is correct.
I think next year is Shinnecock. Like, and I get it, right? You want it to be tough, but the undulate just that was Kobe.
It's not for me.
I get it.
It's not for me.
But I like some of the. I did learn quite a few rules.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 club lengths. How about the drop that was it Scheffler had to take and they thought he dropped? No, it was Burns.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought it was a little. He gained an advantage, so they made it redrop.
Yeah. I honestly, if I have to learn a rule book to watch a golf tournament,
and it was USGA, so it's a little.
Yeah, we're
different.
probably doing too much.
Yeah,
I understand, Kobe. I understand what they're trying to do, and I understand they accomplished it. I'm saying it's a bad television product. Like it's not enjoyable. I don't want to just see a bunch of dudes get beat
curious.
up on the
I'm like, do you like? Is that?
No, that's not. That's not what I'm into. Like, I want to see guys hit
because some of the pushback from
numbers.
Like major leagues to the CWS why guys don't like college baseball. Mm-hmm. It's just not as crisp, or it's not as this, or I don't do the fundamental, or I don't like how So I just was sometimes.
Honestly, for me, college baseball is about. I mean, for me, it's nostalgia as much as anything. Like that's the baseball I grew up watching. Like the first games I went to were College World Series games. So if you come in and be like, well, the pitching's not as good, or like the fielding's not as crisp, or whatever, it's like I don't have a good answer for you. That's all correct. But I mean, you can make the same case for college basketball, college football. Like you can make a lot of the same cases for any college sports that we like. Now, college football, you can say, oh, that I like the varied offenses and it looks different and stuff like that. And I can buy that. That's fine. But if you're just like, hey, the quality of play is not as good, I don't have a good answer for that.
Yeah. You never answered the question, and you don't now, but the Baseball Village question.
Which one was that?
Who'd you ran into?
Oh, yeah. Your guy, Scotty.
Hurrdat?
Yeah.
No way.
I swear to you. I'm going through the tents because I was down there working our booth yesterday. So I got there a little early so I could go shopping because I was like getting hats or something. And so I'm walking around and some guy goes, Ravi. And I look. And I didn't really recognize him. I was like, am I supposed to know this person?
Hey, you vibing with the Stone Cold thing?
Oh, that dude's awesome. I love that guy.
I'm telling you.
I love that guy. He's great.
See?
So he comes up and he's like, hey, I'm DB's neighbor, Scott. And I was like, oh, my God, that's wild. Yeah. That's why I texted you the way I did.
It's bizarre.
Like, it was unreal. Cool, cool as a cucumber.
I told you.
Super cool, dude. Like, he was riding with me, though. I was like, with the honking thing, and he didn't know who you were. I was like, you either thought like this guy was obsessed with you or gonna stalk you and murder you. Like you didn't know who it was. Like I was like, it was weird, wasn't it? He's like, yeah, a little bit. But once I figured out who it was, he was like, oh, it's great.
And that didn't happen until like 2.5 weeks ago. I'm like, That's why I'm like, man, this poor guy. Like for a year and a half, you were like, who's the weirdo?
Yeah.
That's tough.
That's the best part. But he still was like unfazed by it. That's the best part.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. It was just something about his vibe.
Yeah, no, he was a cool dude. But yeah, ran into Scott down at Baseball Village.
Whose gear did you get?
So I didn't get a team. I got an Omaha hat. It's like just a CWS hat, but they had a cool
like
Omaha.
My Belichick that just says Omaha 2023 base CWS.
Yeah, same type of deal. Yeah. I'm a big Omaha guy, so a lot of times I won't get team gear. I'll get Omaha gear. Because they get some cool designs down there during College World Series.
Did you like UCLA's gear?
It's okay. I like the color scheme, so
the stirrups that had me going bonkers.
Yeah, I don't love stirrups.
Like just in general.
It's just I don't need it. But I do like their color scheme, so I'm like inclined to like their gear. Like I'm inclined to like how it looks. You know what I was looking for, and it kind of made me mad because I couldn't find it anywhere. Is I want that Murray State hat that has the horse with the horseshoe.
With the horseshoe?
That's a great looking hat. I don't want the one with the M. I just want the horse and the horseshoe.
So do any of the vendors have them?
I didn't see any. Not the blue one like they wear on field.
Yeah.
They had a couple that were like College World Series issue, but the logo was so small on it.
Let's see if I can help you out. I don't know.
I mean, if you know somebody with Murray State or whoever that can give me one of those, because I want the one they're wearing on the field. Those are sick. And I couldn't find one anywhere. It was bumming me out.
Yeah, we didn't even do our predictions either. But apparently Coastal's pretty good.
Yeah, well, hey, he tried to tell us.
We have definitely figured that out.
You know what was cool, though? So down at the Baseball Village yesterday, there's a bunch of Coastal people here. And
good for them.
Like a bunch. And
well, if you can afford to ride with Myrtle Beach, you
could probably make it to Omaha.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of alums coming. So, like, most of the 2016 team is here. But then there's a dude, he came by our booth at the Hurrdat booth, and he played from, like, 05 to 09. He played shortstop for them, and we're talking to him a little bit. There's just a ton of former Coastal players up there, and they're all in. I love it. It's like a super cool little community.
I like that because, the games haven't been super offensive. You got the gym on Saturday night, which, I mean, Arkansas, if you're looking for, a ray of positive, obviously you can bring Root back.
Yeah.
Fairly quick. So you didn't lose that. And your bullpen kept you in it and was pretty efficient. But that's not the type of game that I thought LSU could win, even though Max Anderson.
Yeah.
He deals. I just thought that they would have to slug it a little better. But, I mean, Anderson was like, hey, no problem.
Yeah, but they were good to go. They felt all right about it.
The greatest line of this whole opening series was DeMarinis telling me that Carolina not being able to beat Arizona was probably the greatest injustice ever. That was awesome.
He's probably not wrong though. Like it is a strange result. That's baseball though, right? You get some weirdos like that. Like that was a pretty strange. Like North Carolina's better than Arizona, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's particularly close.
I'm like,
that's a super strange result.
And he lost it at the house, but we won't lament.
I'll say we don't need to worry about that. I did plenty of lamenting myself this weekend. So,
yeah, but I mean, just hasn't been, even with like the totals, and I just didn't want to see a bunch of, and you might. It's early, so you get the good pitching matchups before pitching
so you may
gets
see
stretched.
Some cricket numbers late.
But the good thing though, early is you hadn't seen a lot of burned pitchers, so. Hopefully we can just continue to keep seeing kind of good baseball because I think only one of the games has gone over the total, and that was by a half, which was Louisville and Arizona.
Yeah,
10.5
yesterday.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's
been pretty tamped down.
Yeah,
which is it's okay. I mean, I don't mind. I like some pitching matchups.
I do think. Do you like they've changed the format? How long have they changed? They've changed the format 3 times, right?
Think so.
The championship series, the day off, the rain day, starting on a Friday versus a Saturday.
Yes, which I like. I like the starting on the Friday.
The Friday, because they went back to that. Was that 2 years ago? Or am I misremembering?
I think so. It was 2023. Because what I didn't like is when you had the whole second weekend off and then you started the championship on Monday.
Yeah,
that didn't make sense to me.
So
like you're missing out on opportunity there.
And I know I was a big like the 3-day set and adding an extra round, and I don't like the regional format, but I do like this settled on format. Started on Friday, let's let's play ball.
Yeah, I think you have to maximize your weekend time, right? So, I mean, starting on Friday, trying to have championship games on the following weekend as well. Like, I think that's the way to go. I don't know why it was so hard to figure that out in the first place.
I didn't get out at all, but were the crowds from like social media and what our guys were doing, it seemed like an inordinate amount of people.
Oh, it was a lot of people.
Is it even the crowds seem for getting a few non-traditionals?
Yeah,
I think the crowds have been outstanding.
I thought so too. And
I mean, maybe it was because nobody was a repeater from last year. I don't know.
You're seeing a lot more people from schools I didn't know would represent. Like, I knew Oregon State would come. I didn't know how. Like, there's a ton of Oregon State people out here.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with how, because Murray's not a big school, and there's a lot of Murray State people here. Who else did we see a ton of? LSU, obviously, there's like half the, like a ton of Arkansas, though. Like, there's a lot of people and Coastal was representing really well.
Yeah, they kept panning like some of the stuff on social media, and I'm like,
there's a ton of people.
Oh, it's making me, I don't know, it was giving me like the queasies.
That's why I like being in our booth, because I can kind of like retreat a little bit if I need a break.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot of people down there, man.
And the baseball was fine.
It was fun, though. It's a good atmosphere. It's a good time for, I don't know, some of those young kids that work for us, though, they got more energy than I do. I'm not, they're a little, they're like, yeah, after we worked last night, we decided to go out to the old mattress factory.
If you're the chill old man.
I know.
That didn't even make any sense.
Yeah, they're Austin's literally talking about like, yeah, so I went home and I came back down because I just want to hang out with people. I was like, bro, you're like, what's happening?
Yeah, not a chance.
I know.
He left and came back?
Yeah.
So he must have navigated the parking pretty well.
So he parks like a mile. Well, he's a triathlete, so he parks like a mile and a half away, and he's like, yeah, it's easy walk. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Was he on like 24th and Cumming?
Yeah, he's like parking like deep in Creighton's campus, I think.
Oh, well, good on him.
It's like crossing the interstate.
Well, if you don't have to use streets, I mean, is he jumping fences or?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I didn't ask too many questions.
That dude is out there.
Because once he told me where I was parking, I was like, oh yeah, I'm not parking there. I'm not doing that. I don't need to know anymore.
Hey, T-Mag, tons of people are driving, seem a little bit more hectic. Usually go through North or Carter Lake to avoid traffic. Didn't matter. So what's going on with the airport, I don't think helps a ton.
Yeah.
I don't, because that would be the way that I would go to, even if it's going out of my way. I could be coming from the south to the north, and I still
You take 680 all the way around?
I would.
Yeah.
Or I would pass it and come back.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Like from the east side?
So I wouldn't, I can come, I could be on 80.
Mm-hmm.
I'd pass Martha. I'd pass the downtown exit. Yeah. I'd pass the Cumming Street exit. I would pass, what's the next one?
You got
Blackburn is on that street. Hamilton, I'd pass that exit.
Okay.
I'd pass Ames. I'd loop back around to the airport, not go all the way around to 680. I would take I-80
to
through
480,
the exit. Yeah,
and take 480 all the way
back around.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would do that.
Yeah, I just took
anything like if you try to get off on Cumming, on 24th, like it's a long time to go east, and you're only going a block at a time. You'd pass Creighton's old brick building where they used to have the basketball camps, and they may still be in there. Are they still up there?
I don't think so. I don't think they're in the old gym.
You pass the McDonald's and the new gas station that I hear people treat much like a grocery store.
Oh, do they?
That apparently is a good spot for that gas station.
Okay.
Super sketch, but very busy.
Gotta keep those college kids fed.
Well, keep your head on a blinker, on a swivel.
I've got a blinker too.
So it's like that. I mean, I can't imagine like being on the one. It's not even a one way, but being in a 2-lane from Cumming to 24th down to the ballpark.
And there's a stoplight like every.
Yeah, again, 24th, 20th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I saw that's the way I took yesterday, but I was leaving so early to get down to our booth that I think I got down to our booth at 10.
Yeah.
And the game wasn't until 1, so I was fine. So if you're going on off hours, you're probably okay. I really didn't think 80 was bad, but if I'm going peak hours at all, like there's no way I'm taking that way.
Hard pass.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm out.
Hey Shano.
What's up?
How we doing?
Good.
How are you? How did you?
I watched.
You were chomping at the bit to just watch the U.S. Open because it was on the basic channels. How'd that treat you?
That was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I did not.
Well, that's okay.
You were also winning, so that helps. Right, like
what?
when you're winning, that helps.
There's.
Oh man, said I'll take JJ Spawn. I was like, what?
I didn't think there was a chance he was gonna win.
There's when I watch sports, most of the time when I watch sports, I like to see people do amazing things. Okay, so we weren't necessarily seeing that on Saturday and Sunday for the most part, but it is nice to see the best in the world. I thought it was good to see them struggle, but then to see some of them be able to regroup and come back.
I imagine those guys are exhausted.
Oh, it gotta be.
And I can hear non-golfers or guys that like.
That was a bloodbath.
Athletes being like, what?
It was easy to cheer for people yesterday. I mean, it really was.
If you were good recognizing the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a bloodbath.
So I mean, and I think of the reason a lot of the people why he wasn't as long of a shot. That's why I didn't love you just letting Shane take it.
Kobe, Shane doesn't know ball. Literally, the guy told him that he was up by like 3 strokes.
I was just going to say he was coming into it playing well, so I'm like,
that's fine. I'm just saying.
Kobe knows what he's talking about.
Let's not act like he was Scheffler, okay? Like we're talking about like
you picked Scheffler.
I did pick Scheffler.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And he struck, man. If you played in the afternoon on Thursday, you were in trouble.
Hey, did you like looking at that grouping that I sent you?
Yeah, that was actually super helpful.
Oh yeah, just so I could
count them up. Like it was super helpful. I was like doing Control F and trying to find everybody. Like that was
Justin Thomas cut, Straka cut, DeChambeau cut, Neiman cut, Fleetwood cut, Oberg cut, Mickelson cut, Cantlay cut. Like when you're only scoring 7 golfers.
I know, like over half of our field was cut.
It's like this is not gonna be good.
It was incredible. It was so it ended up being pretty even though as far as the
Isn't it weird how like I kind of took some solace in Rory battling back. When it ballooned to 10, I thought it was gonna get away from him.
Yeah.
And he not immediately, or it seems immediate to me, but recalibrated.
He kind of locked back in.
Ended up shooting 7 over, and I would have been. Because I said +3. Who said 4 under would win it?
Shane said 4 under. I said -2. So I was close.
The closest.
Yeah.
But man, my +3. I should have said the majority of the field for everybody but a golfer.
Yeah, basically, if it wasn't for his Thursday morning,
I didn't think +3 was crazy when I said it.
It wasn't. I mean, if you look at the rest of the 2 through 10, like you're right there.
Yeah.
But if it weren't for his crazy Thursday morning, because he started -3 like immediately.
Yeah.
Like through a handful of holes. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was early. And then he sort of just rode that out which he navigated the course better than everybody else.
Was it McIntyre who got to 6 under? And then by the turn
early
was
Friday
even?
Or Thursday?
It
was Friday.
It wasn't McIntyre, I don't think, because he ended up playing well. I'm just trying to remember who that was. And I was thinking, God, just a couple of swings.
Yeah.
I think he went double. I think we went bogey, then double, bogey, double.
Well, even Scheffler.
And the next 3 holes. Yeah.
On Thursday,
didn't you think he was
going?
Yeah.
Because he had a couple of birdies, got to like -1 or even.
Yeah.
And Thursday, and I'm like, okay, he's getting to go and he's going to be fine. And then immediately fell right back to like +3. And I'm like, man, that's brutal.
They're just
like if Scotty can't even get it going.
Chewing them up and spitting them out. I'm trying to remember. And I just it was like watching Oregon in the Supers last year where
they're just going to
watch a guy throw 43 pitches in an inning. And,
yeah.
I mean, he's walked like his
at some point, you're just like
6th guy. And I'm like, we got to get him out of here.
Yeah.
Like, but I can't remember.
John says Lawrence.
Oh, it was Lawrence. Yeah, it was Tristan Lawrence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I knew it'd come to me. And I'm like, can we not just keep dialing in on this? Like you could tell. How about a couple of these? Who had the club launch? Was it Rory? I'm like, hey, you gotta mess up the fairway. Just the 2-hand tomahawk.
Well, that was the thing. The only thing I didn't like about the whole thing was like the fairway with all the divots. You know, when
Yeah.
they would tee
But it was
off
so
and
soggy.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like they were stepping on. I saw a video, and I don't even think it was in the rough, of this guy just stepping on the fairway
Yeah.
and just water
Did
coming
you
up
see?
around
Yeah.
his foot.
So Burns, they showed the
Yeah, it
slow
was
mo
Burns.
behind him.
Yep.
And his ball was relatively clean.
Yeah, it wasn't in a
but
bad
on
spot.
the strike, it looked like
Look like he was hitting off a slip and slide.
I was like,
It was wild.
I don't know, man. I found myself for a second going back to the whole tennis.
Oh yeah.
Striking a golf ball thing, and I'm like, I'm still taking golf.
All right, you try and
I watched a ton of sliders in the French Open, and I was like, ooh, I'm not. That's a swing and a miss for me.
Oh.
Like, that would be hard too, but
yeah.
I much rather try to get pickup tennis.
You got 140 coming in on a slice. Yeah. You feel good about that?
Well, I mean, how about those serves that like kick so hard back into the body?
Yeah, the ones that those they put the top spin
Yeah.
on the serve. Oh my god.
I was like,
So I've seen like
Yeah,
a couple of meaty.
like yeah, no,
Dude, it is so disorienting.
dude, I get hit in the gut.
Especially, I'll see if I have a video of it because I was trying to like work on my return, and somebody was hitting me slice serves, and they mixed a kick in there, and I look like it looks brutal. You know those guys that get like
Yeah.
buckled by breaking balls when they're, they think it's coming at their head and then it breaks it. Like it looked like that. It was awful. I can't even imagine seeing one of those things in triple digits. It'd be brutal.
So it's like I'm watching the intricacies of, because there was the camera work. Obviously, when you're at an open,
Mhm.
the camera setups around the extremely difficult
Yeah.
rough,
Mhm.
and the multiple camera angles from the bunker, which you don't normally get in televised golf.
Mhm.
Some of those some of the drops,
Like, oh yeah.
and the angles, it's like, what would be your aiming point?
Yeah, like what are you shooting at?
It's just blind golf. I'm like, do they think that's fun?
Yeah.
Well, and it was like that from some of the tee boxes too.
Oh,
like
I
we
know.
saw on the back
You're
nine.
like aiming at it. I mean, you're picking out a landmark.
Yeah. And you're like, well, if I hit it here, then it'll whatever. Yeah.
How about all 4 quad boxes being all some sort of golf? Whether it was Peacock, first round pair, or parent group 3,
Mhm.
group 4. I'm like,
Well, that sounds awesome. I wish I had that.
I'm not like, well, what are my other options? And then it was
It was a lot of golf for me. It was a lot.
it just on the quad.
Yeah, like I'm not as into golf as you guys are. It's fine.
Yeah.
If I watch golf, I want it to be more of like a master style where like guys are putting up good scores and like hitting like excellent shots, stuff like that, and not just trying to battle the golf course.
Mhm.
That's not for me personally. So having 4 quad boxes of that was a little much for my taste. I could just keep that in the corner and watch something else.
If they played out there more, I mean, it wouldn't be like that. I mean, that's part of it right there.
Here's
Only
the-
being there every
I
8 or
I
9
did think it
years.
was jokes. It was funny, like because
Yeah.
it kept coming up throughout the broadcast about guests that play, people that play there
Mhm.
regularly. And in my head, I'm like, why? Why?
Why?
To each their own, I guess. The struggle is super real.
The struggle was real with that.
But on some sort of positive, you were enjoying OKC and
I was
Pacers
for
right?
a while. Yeah.
What do you mean for a while?
Well, till about last couple minutes.
I was like, dang, I'll never get
I thought I had
I
you.
was like,
I
dang,
thought I had you.
I'll never get a good meal.
I really did. I thought I had you.
I wish I would have had the stones to take Spawn.
I know you'd have gotten
I'd have,
you'd be up to 100
I
if you
know.
took Spawn.
Yeah.
Here's the problem that I had. So obviously they play game 5 tonight for OKC in Indiana, but the thing that kind of bothered me about game 4 was like, I feel like the Thunder broke the mystique.
Oh, because they won late.
They won late. They won a close game.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think Indiana probably needed that to stick in this thing, because there was something about like, holy crap, you just can't kill these guys. Like they are
looked like
never
it was
dead.
going that way. Like 101-99, you're like,
You're like, oh, they're gonna.
this
get
is
it.
just the Pacers.
Yeah, they'll be fine. But once they overcame that, I mean, OKC is a much better team, like unequivocally. There's a reason they were still minus money down 2-1 with a home game at Indiana still, right? Like there's a reason that's how Vegas felt about it. That's a much better team. But man, there was something about Indiana where you're like, unless we're up by about 20 points with a minute left, I think we're going to lose. And I think they finally broke that. And I think that's bad news for Indiana. There's a decent chance Oklahoma wins the next 2 and it's over in 6.
Who had the better press conference, Halliburton or Roy McIlroy?
Oh, I didn't see Rory's.
I thought like this. They just showed Rory slamming his club. I don't know. I don't know how to take Roy because he was pretty candid about what his problems are.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still mad about the leaking of the driver.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep revisiting why he won't really talk to the media a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, it's not really you guys. But if you didn't see it, that's no fun. But I thought Halliburton's reflection in the moment, was he giving credit or just the way the questions were asked were about kind of their play? Because I don't know. I thought OKC showed some stones late when it would have been easy for them down the stretch to wilt.
I absolutely thought that they showed some stones late. I'm pro Halliburton, so I'm probably going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like that's just the angle that I'm coming at it from. I really like that dude, and I constantly imagine what it would have been like if the Warriors drafted him. So I'm pro Halliburton. So when I hear that, I go, oh, he's just answering the question that was asked to him.
Yeah.
And I don't really read too much into it. I can understand how you're like, he's not really given the credit that Oklahoma City deserves. Like I get how people could say that, but because I like him, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And like I know I'm doing that in real time.
So the interesting thing about that was it's like, man, I first said gentleman sweep. That's obviously not happening. I think I stuck to 4-2 the other day. I almost wanted to go 7 though, just because the way the games are going.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting basketball.
But I definitely would take 4-2 so we can move on.
Yeah,
I'll take the 4-2.
So we're good to go.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I after the way Game 4 played out, I do think it's going to be 6. I think Oklahoma City's going to get the next 2.
Did you revisit our? By the way, Denny appreciated the OC. QB.
Oh,
Says fantastic discussions.
It's a good thing we saved it for Tim.
Well,
Sorry, I had to.
I went back and listened to a ton of like the rationale because go back and look at there's a ton of variance.
A lot of variance between the three, which I was pretty surprised by, honestly. Like I didn't see your list or Tim's list going into it. I had you guys send it to Rico directly, and I didn't look at them. So I was pretty stunned by the fact that there were some that were, especially ones that I thought were like, oh, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I want to come
I
back
knew somebody would have Mateer and Arbuckle, and I wouldn't. I knew somebody would.
I'm going to come back to that and take a break just because we're talking about the success that Nebraska has to have, the quarterback OC thing, and then as it relates to recruiting, like, are we really going to be critiquing recruiting this? You see all the rankings of where teams are?
Yeah.
Like high school, it's going to be tough to kind of rank recruitings in June, isn't it?
Well, especially now where you're going to have such a variance in class size.
Yeah, I just as it relates and how that could change if we do get the good OC quarterback play.
Interesting. We'll get to that and more. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We've got more Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next. I'm Ravi Lulla.
I'm Kenny Bell.
We're here from Hurrdat Sports. Don't worry, Metro Transit has you covered right here on the ballpark bus. Gonna run from right here down by the stadium, north of downtown, all the way up to Dodge Street, making a circle to drop you off wherever you need to go.
Oh, beautiful. So what's it cost?
It is free. It runs every 10 minutes, and it'll run almost all day until an hour after the last game. Or Kenny, if you're like me, you don't want to deal with driving downtown at all, Metro Transit has you covered there too. You can park out at Westroads for free and get a ride downtown through Orbit.
That's right. They added an extra Orbit stop at 10th and Capitol, only $1.25. fills up after the game, quick, nice service, right back out to West Roads.
$250 round trip, can't beat it.
And free parking? You kidding me?
Plan your trip or track your bus at myride.ometro.com.
Or download the MyRide OMA app.
Here at Charles Schwab Field. Wilson, what was your reaction from the dugout, wherever you were, for that hit, that walk-off?
That was awesome. I was on deck, so I was ready to go up there and get the job done if I needed to, but that's awesome. That's one way to start off our trip here, so it was a lot of fun.
Now, why can't you count this Oregon State team out ever?
That's just kind of how we do it. We've done it the whole year, and we're excited to keep doing it.
How about the freshmen on the mound starting off for you guys? Whole pitching staff was great, but talk about Dax and what he means to this team just as a freshman in that spot.
It's just awesome to see him go out there with whatever the 24,000 people there was and throwing the same rock, same ball, and just doing what he does, punching it guys out and getting zeros. So that was awesome. He's an important piece for us.
You guys brought a piece of Corvallis here with you. How about these fans, and did you hear him throughout the game?
Definitely, for sure. Feels just like home here, even though you got a lot more people here, but we definitely feel at home here and we're ready to go.
Yeah, how about the emotions on the field there, the Gatorade bath, all of that? Is this what dreams are made of?
Exactly. That's what we dream about as kids, and now we're here doing it.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
If you want to meet Hurrdat Sports out here at the Baseball Village, this is the worst place to go on the Ferris wheel. But you would be able to find it because we are out at the corner next to the old mat, and you could find sunglasses, hats, T-shirts, all the good stuff. And who knows, maybe you'll even run into Kyle Byers.
Yeah, rally towels. We got a bunch of candy down there. It's awesome. You know, like the best time of the year is this event because you get to swing through. You get to literally see the entire team all working together from Hurrdat Sports, and we're giving away stuff.
Yeah, and what else would you rather do than come hang out with us, sweat a little bit in the humidity, and then ride the Ferris wheel, which you can tell the baseball game's going on behind us as well. Logan's behind the camera. I mean, it's a full team effort today.
Yeah, and you know what? You've got the Omaha skyline right over there. You've got the ballpark right behind us, and then literally 600 different types of food that you can buy on the way from there all the way to the ballpark. So, yeah, I mean, you literally can't get it any better than sitting down.
Give me that cheddar, getting Rico. Big money rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We were talking about how crazy it's been down at the baseball tournament this weekend. Make sure, if you want to avoid some of that craziness, check out Metro Transit. Ometro.com is where you can plan your ride either around the ballpark or from West Roads. Get a $250 round trip, so you don't have to worry about the parking down there. Make sure you go check out ometro.com to plan your trip. Some trips to Lincoln this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of went under the radar after what we saw last weekend, but pretty significant. I mean, it's going to be the whole month, I think. Pretty significant recruiting visits this weekend for Nebraska as well. But, I have seen some hand-wringing and consternation about Nebraska's 2026 class. And I've asked our guests several times, like, hey, when are the commits coming? Like, what size of class are we looking at here? And I think that the size of the class, I think, is where we need to start. Because if you understand recruiting rankings, and I assume most of you do because we live in Nebraska, but like size of class is pretty important in where the rankings end up being.
All right.
Like quantity matters a lot. And there's going to be, I mean, we talked to all of our guys, whether it's Tim, BC, Shafe, Bruns, whoever, like this is a small class for Nebraska. So the ranking number is not going to be what you want it to be. But it's not because Nebraska is not able to get any recruits. Like they don't need a large class of young guys this year. That I think is kind of the most interesting part of this roster construction is like they just don't like they're going to go big game hunting with however many spots they have and try and fill some needs with high end guys.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to see it. And I think this is on the heels of on 3, and this was whatever I think Friday 13th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they come out with the recruiting rankings for 2026 and Nebraska's dead last. Right.
In the conference.
And everybody's like, what is going on? And listen, they've got 5 in the class, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Let me check here.
You've got Bonwell, you've got Chase Reynolds, Waterman, and Raiola. Is that 4?
And Brana.
Yeah. So, which is weird. They better stop having Caleb host the recruits.
Why is that?
Well, he gets all the toughies. I mean, it's Sanders Jr., but he's part of that deal.
Yeah.
He's actually his age, so that was kind of
unusual.
I won't even count Sanders Jr. because that was special circumstances.
You just happen to be on your officials at the same time.
But with Brana and Darian, it's tough.
Yeah. No, you're up against it with Darian for sure.
It's like,
although he did say they moved the needle.
Yeah, and these guys keep dropping his name in these, and normally it's like, oh, that'd be a good thing, but if they go somewhere else, it's like
doesn't feel so good.
It doesn't feel so good. So you got to take what comes with it, but I think there is a little consternation when the highest rated guy in your class is coming off a visit in the state of Florida, and he still could potentially make it to Penn State.
I'm not worried about the 2026 class. I think they've
got... I do think, is it us? Is it the staff? I don't know. Maybe it's media. Like, have we painted the picture that they need to win first? And so
I think that's part of it for some of the guys that they're going after. But
because I know I've said, hey, listen, if they win, it could be this. But I'm talking about from being really good to like.
You're talking about going from like 15 to 25 to 10 to 15 in terms of year in, year out.
I'm not saying like they need to get out of the basement in the current Big Ten.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a little overstated. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but I do think they're just extremely selective.
I mean, they have to be this year. Their roster, they have a ton of young guys on their roster. They have a ton of young guys on their roster that they like a lot, right? So they brought in 2 pretty big classes, and let's not forget, they've tried really hard. I believe I counted it up earlier in the year. Over half of the transfers they've brought in have multiple years of eligibility, more than a year, right?
Yeah.
So even the guys that aren't true freshmen or traditional high school recruits are still relatively young for the roster. Like Hunter's a sophomore, like you've got a lot of those guys that you just have multiple years remaining. So you're going to have some small classes, and that's fine. I actually think the program has painted themselves into this. We've got to win some games because the type of guys they're going after.
Is this in response to the question I was asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
About who's making it seem like they need to win games to land some of these guys. I think the program's put themselves in that position on purpose because they've gone after guys that they know only want to play for winning programs. Like the guys they're going after in 2026.
That kind of goes to the they recruit like a big time program.
Like they're better than they have been, right?
Yeah, which listen, I told you I'm all in on that.
Absolutely. But you look at it and you go, okay, so this is a program this is a coaching staff and a recruiting staff that's decided, hey, these are the types of guys we want. We understand that if we don't win some games, that they're probably not going our way. But you go into it understanding like, hey, by October, our class may be full.
Because and they'll have already formed the relationships too, though.
Yeah.
Which is why you see a lot of the future building.
Yeah, that's why you have to work on the front end, right? You have to work on the front end because you can't be like, oh, we're 6-0 now, whatever the number is, right? Or, oh, we're 4-0 now. Let's go see if we can get some better recruits.
Yeah.
Like you have to do the work on the front end, and that's what we're seeing. But then you have to be patient because Nebraska hasn't won at that level yet.
Yeah, and I think,
so I think they're doing it on purpose, to answer your question.
Well, and I go back to the press conference in the spring when Coach Rule said, it's a tough time for us. This was before the settlement and whatever happened, and which I still think is Title IX. Anyway,
there's going to be some lawsuits.
Yeah,
like there's going to be a lot of lawsuits.
Let me stay right here for a sec. I think it is interesting that he was kind of laying the groundwork then. Hey, we're going to be out here recruiting. We're going to get on the recruiting trail, but we have to be diligent. Unless you're part of these stabs that will promise kids and then have to go back and get it. And like he said, we're going to have to just do our due diligence to make sure we're getting the guys that best fit what we need them for. So I think he kind of set the stage then.
Well, what's the line he said? He said, this is really hard unless you're a coach that doesn't mind going back on what you told a kid.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of what we're dealing with here.
And you never want to see any lists behind Northwestern or Purdue or
context matters here, though.
But it does.
Like it's
context 100% matters.
Like if Nebraska has a 12-person class, which I think is on the table, on the low end, I think we're looking at like 11, 12. High end, probably not more than about 15. If you get half of that class is 4 stars and half of that class is 3 stars, because we're talking about recruiting rankings here, not actual quality of players. So if you're talking half that class is 4
or fit for your program, which could be
a 5-star,
also something different.
You could be a 5-star fit and a 3-star talent, and you're going to look pretty good, right? But let's say you're half 4 stars, you got 6 4 stars, you got 6 3 stars. In any other given class, 6 4 stars, people will be over the moon about it. They're like, oh man, that's great. We got 6 4 stars. We like these guys. The 3 stars are really highly touted. We like those guys as well. We think they're good fits. That we identified some guys that we really like. I think Darian Jones is a 3-star. Like, oh, we got our local guy. You feel pretty good
and
about it.
And they really don't care about stars,
right.
I think, for them.
For sure. But you look at it and you go, hey, we trust the staff evaluates and stuff like that. At 12 prospects, if you get 6 4 stars you really like and 6 3 stars you really like, that's still not going to be a highly rated class.
Yeah.
You're still probably talking about north of 60 nationally and probably bottom third of the Big Ten. But that's what this class is going to be. They were never going to take more than like 15 guys max.
Hey, so can you because they were ranked really high in the portal transfer post the portal. Can you be highly ranked in both? Do you think?
So,
or how many teams could actually be highly ranked in both?
So I think
because if your portal haul is really good,
yeah,
that's probably going to deter or maybe reflect your emphasis at the high school level.
So I think there's only a handful last year, and it was your usual. I think like Ohio State.
Yeah, those guys are going to be them.
Like the
Georgia's
blue blood. Like they're going to get the best guys from each.
So that's
level,
that's how many of those schools could be good at both, and I guess there's probably a handful,
right? But you're talking about the guys that are the teams and programs that have dominated college football for the last 10 years. So that's kind of where you're at there. Outside of that, it usually is one or the other. Like if you see a team with a really, really high Colorado's a great example. Really, really high portal rankings typically.
Although I do see one that is on the verge of maybe bucking the trend.
Who's that?
USC.
Oh, doing both?
Would you call them?
No,
because they haven't been.
But so here was the other thing: if you're going to be good at both, you either have to be really, really good, or
because I think his portal class was pretty good,
or overhauling almost your entire roster,
and
which is what he's doing.
So far, his
26
class is pretty good.
I think number one so far.
Well, certainly number one in the Big Ten. I think they'll be able to make a case for one in the country.
Yeah. So, but he's also trying to do like wholesale changes in terms of his roster. Like that dude's turning over his entire roster. So there's an opportunity there to bring, and he's really good at, like, he's a great recruiter. He always has been.
Yeah.
Like he's a really good recruiter.
Which I mean, so
but they're probably an outlier.
You have to make June count.
Yeah, they gotta make some hay here with the guys that are coming in. Like that's absolutely true. There's an opportunity here to wrap up, and I do think some of these higher end guys are going to go into the season before they make their decisions. But you have an opportunity to wrap up. I mean, they're at 5 now. They could double their class by the end of June and only have a handful of guys left.
Well, I think you could get. I don't know what Darian's time frame is. He strikes me as somebody that would like to get it done before the season.
Sure.
I mean, because when he's dialed, he's pre-dialed.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And
then you got a couple from last weekend too.
Right. So, I mean, by the end of June, could you be at 8? I wouldn't shock me, but certainly by July.
Yeah. I think you could be at 10 before the season starts. And you'd be most of the way there on your class. And then if you look at it and you go, okay, I've got 3 or 4 guys out there, maybe you take a couple.
You get off to a 4-0 start, and then it's like.
Yeah, you land a few more.
You go back and revisit, okay, who showed us that they were in? Who did we see here? Who's been on our campus?
Who's kind of been waiting and seeing, even though
because they do strike. I don't know if this is. I just get the feel they do strike me as the. Okay, after they vetted to see who feels really strongly about them, and it matches what they feel about said recruit.
Yeah,
like who they double down on, like who the ace in the car, who the ace in the sleeve guys are going to be. That okay, we're going to keep you on the radar. We know you like us, and we like you, and we're kind of getting the inkling we got to win first. Like, because there's only going to be a handful of those,
probably 3 or 4.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That they go back and say, okay, here's the trump card.
I would guess it's along the lines. I would guess it's trench guys. Probably offensive tackles if I'm going to get real specific. Those are sort of the guys they've had a little bit of trouble landing, the high-end offensive tackles, because those guys can go anywhere they want. Like even more so than everyone else. The high-end offensive tackles can kind of write their own ticket because they're so few.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they don't have to play the clock game.
You know, so like they will. If you're a high-end offensive tackle, they will wait for you.
I'm gonna ask. Let's see if I can ask D-Rock, kind of what Darian's window is.
Oh, in terms of when he wants to commit.
Yeah,
he does. I mean, I don't know them as well as you do. Obviously, it does seem like a no nonsense. Like let's get this done and not distract from the season type of family.
Although what little I gleaned at the dinner table last night with my mom, I said, hey, how'd it go?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he's just brief, man. So it's like, I get it.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, my mom would have probably protected him anyway, but I wasn't going to double down on.
So give me the scoop.
Yeah.
It
didn't fit.
Yeah.
And he went right back. Like I think he's back on the interstate at 6:15.
Yeah.
But he did, he's funny. He's like, man.
Keep on pushing.
He's like, yeah, I'd like to get my weekends back. This is like 2 are going to be 3 in a row. And I was like, yeah, relax.
A lot going on.
It's better when you have some value.
I was going to say, yeah, it eats up your time a little bit more.
But you still, there are going to be a couple of guys that are going to be able to say when they want to.
Yeah.
And I know, TK, I know what you're thinking about Titan Davis, but man, I was a little disappointed.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they could circle back. I'm sure you'd say, yeah, sure. But I wouldn't put it. Ain't no guarantees.
I also,
I
don't know if petty's the right word, but I do feel like Nebraska might. How many times have we heard Coach Rule talk about, like, we really love the guys that love us before we win?
He's it is July 4th. He must have said that somewhere. It's his mom's birthday. I'm sorry. It's his mom's birthday.
Gotcha.
Just be calling people.
Focus in. Lock it. No, I do. So July 4th for Darian, but I do think there's something.
Did he might have told that to Sauter.
Kobe says Tim has it in his write-up from yesterday, so it might be in tidbits.
Unfortunately, we will see Darian up close and personal pretty soon here today.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he
gonna be all right?
I don't know. He diced us up last Wednesday, so.
What time do you guys play?
Why not part 2? We're at 11.
Okay. You go bus out of here?
Yeah, we're at 11. I think we're 11, 12, and 12:30. He gave us the game off.
Gotcha. And then right away.
Then go back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's what the kids want.
I appreciate. Well, even he was lamenting that Miller North has game off, but it's 2, 3, 4. So you're not around all day.
Yeah.
Right. But he was lamenting that he couldn't get it the way he
I
wanted.
still don't love that.
I mean, it's better than some of these places have you sitting around all day.
Yeah. No,
which is a nightmare.
Yeah.
I appreciate that he's trying to be conscious of people's time.
100%.
It's hey, half day at most is what you're committing to this, which I appreciate. Coming up next, we're going to talk to our friend Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
LSU is back in Omaha, and so is Livy Dunn. Livy, why'd you want to make the trip back here?
First of all, when I came in 2023, it was one of the best experiences ever. It was so much fun, so I had to come back, support the Tigers, and also I had to rep the Tigers and also Paul.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, where did we get this jersey? Where'd you get it from?
Someone sent it to me. I can't remember the name right now, but it was too cute to not wear today, so I had to rep.
Well, what's it like seeing Paul now on the MLB stage, Rookie of the Year, just all of his accolades? How fun is it getting to follow him and see him pitch on the big stage?
You know what? Watching him go from college through the minors to the MLB has been honestly such a dream and so fun to watch. It all happened so fast. So I'm telling all my teammates right now that are dating the players here on the LSU team in Omaha, I'm telling them to savor every memory because I don't know if anything really tops Omaha because it's so fun here.
Give me that cheddar, we getting Rico. Big bunny rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
You guys have a unique experience that you guys played here a few weeks ago, lost your last game here. How motivated was this group to leave the stadium today with a victory?
It was great. I mean, coming off that loss against Nebraska, Coach told us to really just take what we can with the game and just be that much more hungry to get back here. So that was the goal for the last couple weeks, just to get back here. We got a taste of it a few weeks ago, and we're happy to be back.
Your teammate the other day, Roman Martin, shared with us, you guys weren't happy with your at-bats at the end of the season. How do you guys change your mindset to the postseason, change your mentality and walk in the box?
Just getting back to the Bruin approach. Just fighting, taking the approach through the at-bat versus what's on the mound, and then when you get 2 strikes, just fight.
There's 8 sophomores in the starting lineup. You guys are a really experienced group, though, and you guys decided that Omaha was going to be the goal. What motivates this sophomore group?
Especially the year last year, it's a big motivation, but just the love that we have for each other. We know we're only going to be playing college baseball for so long, and then we'll all split up and go do whatever it is. Just wanting to win with this group is very special to us.
A successful financial future is built one coin at a time. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned saver, we've got the financial resources and team of experts who will be with you every step of the way. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Avery Howard here, Sebastian Alexander, following Coastal's first win over Arizona. You were the guy that broke this tie 5-4 in the 8th inning. You had tons of emotion coming around first base. What were you feeling in that moment?
I just felt grateful that I had this team pick me up throughout the whole entirety of the game. Different moments where they needed me and I wasn't able to pull it through. So the trust that they have in me, I can feel that up at the plate, and it just makes it fun to execute for the guys.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back. Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you, make sure you've got those eyes focused and straight ahead when you're driving this morning. You've got one job. That's to drive. Don't get distracted. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. DB.
Yes, sir.
So I was just doing a little quick research based on our conversation about class size, right?
About the 26 recruits?
Yeah, and I've thrown the number 12 out there a lot because that's a number I've heard from our guys a lot. 12 to 15, 16 is kind of the range we're talking about. So I was curious, based on last year's class, where that would put Nebraska. I haven't even gotten to a class that has 12 yet because they've all had more than that. The closest I got was 13 for Vanderbilt, 2 4-stars, 11 3-stars. That's the 77th ranked class in the country. Maybe a little more comparable would be Colorado last year. They were 38th, 14 recruits, 8 4-stars, 6 3-stars. So that's kind of the neighborhood you're going to be looking at if you're Nebraska. Like if you're going to take between 12 and 16 guys, best case scenario, 6 to 8 of those are 4-stars. You're going to be like probably 40 at best. Maybe closer to 60.
Yeah, I don't like doing this because I see so many of these guys and then I see how they're ranked. So I don't totally buy into it.
I agree.
But from a frame of reference standpoint, if we're just talking volume versus quality or volume and quantity, of the 26 recruits at SC, how many do you think are below an 88? So 89 and up versus 88 and below. Of the 26.
Of the class of 2026? I would say, because there are 29 recruits, right, in the 2026 class?
For them?
Yeah.
I think they have 26. Is it 29?
I think they're at 29.
Okay.
They have
It is 29. It is 29.
They have a huge
it is 29.
class already.
It is 29.
I would say, how many are below 88?
88 or below.
Less than half. I'd say
8.
I would say 10, yeah.
21 of the 29 are ranked 89 or better.
Like, they're putting together a good class. They've got a quality.
Yeah, I just didn't want you to think it was volume.
No, I mean,
that's
the volume
definitely part of it.
The volume helps for sure.
But
that's a quality class they're putting together, without a doubt.
That's pretty incredible.
But they do have a huge amount of turnover on that roster because they've put together some big transfer classes as well.
Sounds like we got Sam.
Let's get to our guy, Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald, joining us now on Hurrdat Sports Live. What's up, Sam? How are you?
Hey, how are you guys doing today?
Good. We're good. Hey, we're talking about, obviously On3 drops the recruit rankings list on Friday, and it was some questions, and I'm trying to make the case without poo-pooing it, right? But there is some methodology to why small classes, Nebraska being specific, I get it. You don't ever want to be seen behind certain schools in the Big Ten. But Nebraska is still pretty strategic with how they're recruiting. And, Sam, it's still only June.
Yes. So I think by the end of this week, they won't be 18th. They'll probably be, I don't know, 11th or 12th if they get the commits that I think everybody expects them to get. Hayden Ainsworth is announcing today, and I think he'll be picking Nebraska. I don't know that for sure, but that's my sense of it. And then there's probably a couple others that will be making decisions. And so they're not 18th, right? If those guys had announced last week, they wouldn't have been 18th. It's going to be a small class. Heretofore, I thought Nebraska had done a pretty good job of getting some of its top targets, getting guys in the class that I think they believe are difference makers. Of course, it'll bear out whether they are or not based on their performance on the field. What I would say is that you want to watch how Nebraska does with the very top prospects it brings in for visits. And that's not to say that some of the linemen aren't in that group. I would say that they've missed out on some linemen earlier this spring, and they've brought in some very high level prospects here already in June, and then they'll bring in some more this weekend. And you want to watch how Nebraska does with those, because those are the players that Nebraska believes will get them over the top. And the difference between the first class, the highest ranked class, let's say in a cycle, which will probably be USC or Ohio State, and the 10th ranked class in the country, the difference between the first and the 10th ranked classes is generally greater than the difference between the 11th ranked class and, let's say, the 30th ranked class. And it's absolutely greater than the difference between the 31st ranked class and the 60th ranked class. That's why Iowa can turn in the ranked classes that it does and win a lot of football games, because there's really not much difference between the recruits that Iowa's getting and the recruits that Nebraska's gotten over the last decade. And people don't like hearing that because they follow recruiting rankings. I'm just telling you that if you actually look at the recruiting rankings, there's not much difference.
Yeah, I think
a high level three. Go ahead.
No. I finish the thought, and then I'll go ahead. The high level 3-star.
So, the 345th player is really not much different from the 432nd player.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference between the number 1 player and the number 101st player can be very big. So that's what I mean, is that it's a top end sport. And so the way people should look at recruiting rankings is that what Nebraska really wants to be is first. And that's where they've got to get to the point where they're in the top 3 every year. And I understand. So while I'm saying that it's not that big of a deal that they're 18th, it's not, because they're gonna rise to 11th or 12th probably by the end of the week.
If you
really want to be is third.
If you're developing and hitting your fits, why 3?
Because the value of having one of the top 3 classes in the Big Ten is that you're developing fits that, generally speaking, again, this is not specific, are broadly more talented and have more upside than the 11th ranked class. That's why. So Oregon, for example, is going to develop its play. Why do we think Oregon is a better football program than Nebraska? Well, I don't think it's because of the coaching. I think you put Matt Rule and Dan Lanning on a field. I don't think Dan Lanning is coming up with some strategic plan that's that surpasses what Rule's doing. And I don't think Oregon's offensive coordinator is better than Dana Holgorsen. So it really is about players. And so this thing comes down to the quality of the players that you get. And so I'm not saying that recruiting rankings are gold per se, but they tell a broad truth. And the reality is you would love to be, the higher that you are, the better chance you have of developing the players that you have. And honestly, your misses don't hurt as much. And so there's maybe 5 or 6 guys in this 2025 class that I would describe as just elite, elite recruits. And Nebraska's goal will be to develop, every recruit on the team, but especially those 5 or 6. Hey, we got these guys, they're really special. We got Dylan Raiola, we're gonna develop him. But if for whatever reason one of them is not a fit, one of them gets hurt, Nebraska's story over the last several years has been that when they get a top 100 recruit, they've actually kind of struggled a little bit to develop that player. And by recent, I mean we're going back 15 years here. So when you miss on those players and you only get 4 or 5 of them, or let's say a Bubba Starling decides to go to the Kansas City Royals instead of Nebraska football, your margin of error is smaller, whereas Oregon's margin of error is larger. And so that's why you want to be as highly ranked as possible, because you're getting better players.
Yeah, I think the dichotomy is fascinating because there's the perception and then the reality. Because I think if you ask Nebraska's staff, they do their fair share of high-end guys, right? It's been star-studded in terms of targets, and they've also been the school that seems to be first on a lot of guys that end up blowing up, kind of like a C.J. Brunner, right? So if that's the case, clearly their eye for talent is pretty good, right? Whether it's
I do think so, yes.
Whether they're getting high-end guys on campus or they find and offer guys before they blow up, the manner in which they're recruiting, regardless of the outcome, doesn't seem to be based on what their record is or how well they're playing. It's a philosophy in terms of who fits their program. That's kind of how I'm trying to land the plane.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I think that's true. Yeah, I mean, I think they, at the same time, you know, when the 5-star came through last year, the tackle,
David Sanders,
they
Jr.
wanted to get him,
and
they didn't get it. So like that's what I mean. It's like if you're gonna put through the time and the effort to have like a little, you know, welcome party for the guy and put all this time and effort in, you actually want to get that guy. Now, I'm not saying they did anything wrong. They actually did just about everything they could do to get that guy, other than they're located in Lincoln versus Knoxville. But that's the challenge of recruiting at Nebraska, is you're not going to necessarily be as close as some of the other schools, and you have to overcome, and they know this, and they know it, and they overcome it often. You have to be able to overcome the distance, and you've got to be able to put families at ease that the distance isn't going to be a big deal. Now, you know, Phil Simpson, who's one of Nebraska's assistants and has helped Nebraska recruit Miami really well, is obviously a huge component of how they get a guy like Cortez Mills. Now, I understand that Phil Simpson's not going to coach Cortez Mills, but you know, he's got that ability. Until Vince Marrow left Kentucky to go to Louisville.
Well, quietly, that's a big story down there.
It's a huge story because he was the guy that was getting the Ohio players to Kentucky,
and he said it out loud.
And
he's giving stats of the roster of 3 states that they dominated and talked about how change has screwed the whole thing up. Like he didn't hold back much.
No, and nor should he, because he's a very valuable person. Like, you know, and so like Phil Simpson is too. He's very valuable to Nebraska. That's why they hired him back. And so like that's part of why. I mean, he's obviously a good position coach too, but his relationships down there are absolutely huge. It's part of his calling card as a coach. And so like you have to find ways to bridge that gap. You know, I tip my hat to Nebraska that they're able to get a lineman out of Arizona. I don't think it's easy to get linemen west of the Rockies, personally, because I think a lot of them are big guys who want to go to warm weather.
They may be able to make some hay with Chandler just because of the relationships, though.
Yes, now that's helpful, and you know they've had their moments in Arizona. You know, obviously Ty Robinson comes from Arizona, and so.
I mean, you have a coach that's at the Phoenix Waste, you know, Management Open. They know that area.
That's right, they do. And Donovan Raiola has helped Nebraska recruit Hawaii. Now, if Raiola was not at Nebraska, if Donovan wasn't there coaching, I don't know that they get linemen from Hawaii because again, I think it's hard when guys west of the Rockies who generally live in warmer weather to much warmer weather if they're in Los Angeles. They don't necessarily love coming east to the Rockies unless they're going to Notre Dame or Alabama or something like that. And so Nebraska's going to, you know, they've tried. They're trying to get the top linemen from the Southeast. That's also very hard. A lot of those guys like to stay, you know, in the region. So we'll see how they do with that. I think you have to, and they have done a really good job of scouting Kansas City. Got to scout Kansas City. Got to occasionally get a guy out of the Denver area, preferably tight ends or maybe a defensive end.
Now that's one position I definitely don't worry about. You know what I mean?
No,
Tight
neither
ends.
do I.
Yeah.
No, neither do I. But we're just talking recruiting.
No, I got you.
You're not necessarily going to get an elite quarterback out of Colorado, elite receivers that often, but you might be able to get. You're going to be, if you wanted a tight end every year out of the Denver area, you could do it. And you could probably do it in the state of Nebraska too. And so you've got to know where to pick your spots and where to go get players. When Tuioti was here, they tried Michigan. It didn't work out too much. That wasn't great. They had some success in Atlanta. They haven't done a lot of Atlanta recruiting since Becton left. But they're having a hell of a lot of success in Miami, and they never had success in Miami before Simpson. And when I say never, I'm not forgetting DiCaprio Boodle and Levante David, but they didn't have much. This is the most success they've ever had recruiting.
And we had to get David via the junior college route, and there was a pre-existing relationship there. So your point stands.
Yeah, so
definitely stands.
They're doing a good job of recruiting where they want to go,
and you pit that against
they have relationships in Houston.
Sorry, Sam, and you pit that against too the mass exodus over the last 8 years of guys that have come from that state. I mean, some guys before you even got to the next football season have gone back to Florida. So, I mean, you have to be encouraged by that. Now, of course, COVID didn't help. That's for darn sure, right? Bring guys from Florida with nothing to do, and you got to sit around. That's a tough pill to swallow. But I just think it's interesting. It's a fascinating conversation because that's why I think it's important for Nebraska's recruiting philosophy to continue to resonate. Like, they have to stay the course. You show some interest in us. If you want to be around us, okay, cool. That's a start. All right, let's see where you're at physically. Do we like you? Okay, we like you. Then here we go. I don't think if both those things aren't, if it's not mutual, I could just see them moving on regardless of the ranking, whether it's a 3-star, a 4-star, or a 5-star. I think it has to be mutual. That's number one. I like that because for every CJ Brunna, right, who nobody had offered, he's a 4-star. He's their highest rated recruit. Now he's just fresh off a visit with Coop and those guys down in Tallahassee. We saw it. Nobody was in Idaho with Kelvin Obot, right?
Right.
The guy's like a 90-91 with multiple offers. So Nebraska can't be discouraged. Hey, you guys call them diamonds in the rough. And Coach Rule said this. Remember, he's like, well, around here, it's like we find diamonds in the rough, and then they go camp at other guys' places, and they offer them, and all of a sudden, they're really good players. He's like, no, we trust our own evaluations. And I think as long as they stay consistent, they've got a chance. But if they win, I do think they could blow the doors off this thing because of the groundwork that they've laid, though, being so principled. If they win, it's going to pay huge dividends. If they don't, it's going to look like wasted efforts. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, I think you laid it out well. The 7-on-7 tournament, which had a lot of players at it that were really high-end players, is a huge component in creating the kind of recruiting class that I'm talking about. And that's the kind of recruiting class where you beat Ohio State for a receiver. I could make the argument that the secret sauce at Ohio State, and again, I know college football is a line game. Ohio State has very good linemen, don't get me wrong. But the secret sauce is their receivers and their defensive backs.
Mm-hmm.
And that at the end of the day, you can't cover Jeremiah Smith. And so it doesn't make any difference what you do at 8 of the other positions. Late in the game against Notre Dame, he just wins. And then they throw him the ball and he catches it and the game is over. And he does that 4 or 5 times a game. And that's he beat Nebraska for a touchdown. Nebraska outplayed Ohio State for, 87% of the plays in that game. But then there's the one play where he beats everybody and it's 6 points. And so you have to find players like that. You have to. And I think Nebraska without being rude about it, would say we need to find more players like that. That somewhere in there we got to find a Jeremiah Smith, or we've got Cortez Mills has to become something that's very close to Jeremiah Smith as he can, and maybe he can't. I don't know. They're both from the area, and I'm sure they know each other. Like you've got to be able to. You've got to be able to find players that can go do that. Not just good players who you develop into, potentially solid pros, but guys that are kind of no doubters that are like, and you can either say Jeremiah Smith or you can say Colston Loveland, and he came from Idaho and Michigan got him out of there, or Montana, one of the two states. And Colston Loveland's really good. And he was pretty good the minute he got there. But like, you got to find players like that. And I think Nebraska knows how to do it. It is probably going to come down to how many games they win and how interested people are in coming to Nebraska after they see what year 3 under Rule is like. If Nebraska wins 10 games next year, it won't surprise me one bit if they have a top 10 national class. It just won't.
Yeah,
if they win 6 or 7, they probably won't have a top 10 national class.
Yeah, I guess that's why I'm further encouraged by just being principled. Like the philosophy behind how they're recruiting. They're going to do their business, how they do their business, and get that set. Right? There's clearly a methodology. Yeah. There's clearly a plan. Because I go back to some of the stuff that they would say early. They sat at Westside and said to Christian, listen, I understand we have to win. Like, that was like the duh moment in the room. But it was like, hey, do you know what helps us win? Getting guys like you in. Right? But if it's a prove it thing, right, sure, we'll get back to that. But that can't be why you choose your school. Like, I've heard, they're very, very, very consistent. It doesn't matter if you're a 5, a 4, a 3. And I just can't help but to think that's going to pay dividends.
Yeah, so I would argue that Rule's biggest strength,
because if they win, they get more fruit. If they don't win at the level that they want to, the pitch doesn't change. It's still true.
And the guys that are there aren't going to be swayed by a little bit of adversity.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right. Yes, I do. I would argue his biggest strengths are precisely the things that we're discussing. So creating a culture, creating an overarching system, populating that system with people who think like he does and work as hard as he does, because a lot of this is very hard work. And when I say hard work, it's not digging ditches. So we're not trying to disparage the working man out there at all. But it's hard work, and that it's very tedious, and it takes a long time.
It's just really strategic, too. It's intentional.
Oh, yeah. And it's meticulous detail and all this other stuff. And you got to grind away at it, and it's mentally exhausting. I'm not saying that they're going out there and, building a building. But it's very hard work, and this is what he does. And he's very good at it. And now that they've got Holgerson in place, that's a huge piece of this. Now I think they feel like they can go. They got to go out and win. The thing that I didn't feel like they had the first 2 years, and we all kind of watched it, is I just don't know that they had that overarching vision on offense that got them where they wanted to go, and that's why they made the change they did, and that's why I think Rule has kind of handed it over to Holgerson, and Rule's even admitted he's doing things that make me a little uncomfortable, but I think Rule has grown enough to be able to say, but we got to go there because obviously what we were doing on offense wasn't quite working. And I don't know that that's all Satterfield's fault. I think some of that was just the overall vision. And that's why Holgerson's hire is so important, because it's like he was kind of the missing piece. And I think you put that piece in place and we're going to find out what happens.
Sam, do you think as, the House settlement comes down, a week and a half ago now at this point, you've got kind of the changing landscape of college sports. Do you think as we see more of these high school recruits, certainly transfers, but I think we're seeing it in high school recruits as well, having it become kind of more of a business decision? And I don't just mean an NIL decision. I mean, hey, who can develop me the best? Who can?
I do think branding is important.
Branding's important. Who's getting guys to the NFL? And you've got the NIL opportunities as well. You brought up David Sanders. You're like, yeah, part of Nebraska's problem was they just weren't located where he wanted them to be. Do you feel like fewer recruitments are going to go that way as we sort of lean into this, hey, these guys, especially these super high-end guys, are making decisions about their future and less about what's comfortable?
Yeah, I think fewer decisions will go that way. I agree with you in the sense that, like, 5 or 10 years ago, you might have seen 9 top 100 players go to Georgia. You're still going to see 6, but the other 3 are going to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that.
Georgia
won't be able.
Because like not all 9 guys are going to play at Georgia at the same time, right?
I mean, the biggest thing it did was you can't stockpile talent.
Yeah. Right. Like, so it's not just going to be, hey, like Georgia's going to win the most games and they've put the most guys in the NFL. You have to be like, okay, but I'm not going to get a play until year 2 at best at Georgia, maybe year 3, because they've got, 4 first-round guys in my position ahead of me. Like, there's at some point it feels like
Bama was holding like five starting running backs that were in the NFL.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen anymore,
right?
That's right. I think you're going to see, the rich will stay rich, but a few of the players will go somewhere else. I think that's going to happen. I think in basketball very quickly, and it'll be fun to watch Hoiberg kind of navigate this. I think in basketball, if the NIL clearinghouse works, you're going to have much more strategically put together teams. You're not going to be able to go out and buy $10 million rosters in basketball unless you're Duke and, Nike can come in and buy the players and put them on deals and stuff. So, like, I think it'll change in basketball probably a little bit more. And I think you're going to see teams, you're going to see franchises or coaches be more strategic in the way they put their teams together, because you can't just say you get $1 million and you get $1 million and you get $1 million. That's not going to, I think, be a reality for a lot of the schools.
You know what sport I wouldn't want to coach?
Football, yeah, go ahead.
You know what sport I wouldn't want to coach? Because it was already
baseball
willy-nilly before NIL, would be college baseball.
It's a nightmare.
College baseball would be incredibly difficult to navigate because it was moving and shaking before it, and it wasn't mainstream, so people didn't talk about it, but it was all about, from the junior colleges to guys moving to pre-existing relationships because of how baseball is constructed and playing it in multiple states where you build relationships over time. We're seeing it happen in softball. We're seeing one AAU coach with connections be the key cog for it. That's a lot of how baseball would work. Hey, I'm storing a guy down at Hutch. Hey, I've got a guy over here. Mm-hmm. Hey, it's like baseball would be extremely difficult because if you go from 11 to 14 in scholarships or whatever, like to fund it and to be able to navigate it would be very, very tough, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with that sport going forward. Again, is the clearinghouse going to stick? I can tell you that the commitment from the schools is there. They want the clearinghouse to work. But I don't know. I haven't delved deeply enough into what Texas Tech softball is doing to know exactly how it works. What I know is that, like, when you read about it, it's almost like this is just great. Like, okay,
wait, what?
So like the media frames it that way.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, the media is just like, oh, well, this is awesome, and okay. So like, I don't know enough about that. What I do know is how these issues are covered, and these issues have been covered in college athletics really for the last 15 years or so as a kind of celebration of unfettered market capitalism that we as journalists certainly know a lot about because we make a lot of money. And so, I don't know. It's just I'm not exactly sure how to tee that one up. And in college baseball, obviously LSU is got a lot of great players who transferred in from other places. Arkansas does too. UCLA grew it. It's homegrown. A lot of those guys are high school guys that are in their second and third years at UCLA. So tonight's game's really interesting. UCLA's playing LSU, and that's a clash of styles right there. UCLA doesn't have money. They don't have a bunch of NIL money lying around. So it'll be fun to watch that game tonight and see what happens between two teams that are doing it very different ways.
Mm-hmm.
That's our guy, Sam McKewon, Omaha World Herald. Sam, appreciate the time. As always, we'll talk to you next week.
Take care.
That's Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Some interesting stuff in there.
Yeah. You got to, I think the biggest thing is the consistency. You got to stay the course.
Yeah, I do. We had some comments in the chat we can get to a little bit on some of the things Sam said there of, comparing guys Nebraska has to who they need to be and things like that. I don't think he was saying Cortez Mills needs to be Jeremiah Smith. I think he's saying Nebraska needs a difference maker on the outside. Yeah. I don't think he's saying he needs to be, but I also Jeremiah Smith's had one good year. He's a really good football player, but somebody's like, oh, I'd be happy if he turned into Rod Smith. Rod Smith was a 3-time Pro Bowler. Rod Smith was better at football than Jeremiah Smith right now. He's had one good year. Rod Smith's come on.
Rod Smith's got a Super Bowl too.
The two of them. Let's chill out here. I get we love Jeremiah Smith, but come on. We'll be back more at Sports Live.
I'm Ravi Lulla.
I'm Kenny Bell.
We're here from Hurrdat Sports.
Don't worry, Metro Transit has you covered right here on the ballpark bus.
Gonna run from right here down by the stadium, north of downtown, all the way up to Dodge Street, making a circle to drop you off wherever you need to go.
Oh, beautiful. So what's it cost?
It is free. It runs every 10 minutes, and it'll run almost all day until an hour after the last game. Or Kenny, if you're like me, you don't want to deal with driving downtown at all, Metro Transit has you covered there too. You can park out at Westroads for free and get a ride downtown through Orbit.
That's right. They added an extra Orbit stop at 10th and Capitol. Only $1.25. Fills up after the game. Quick, nice service right back out to Westroads.
$2.50 round trip. Can't beat it.
And free parking? You kidding me?
Plan your trip or track your bus at myride.ometro.com.
Or download the MyRide OMA app.
Here at Charles Schwab Field. Wilson, what was your reaction from the dugout, wherever you were, for that hit, that walk-off?
That was awesome. I was on deck, so I was ready to go up there and get the job done if I needed to, but that's awesome. That's one way to start off our trip here, so it was a lot of fun.
Now, why can't you count this Oregon State team out ever?
That's just kind of how we do it. We've done it the whole year, and we're excited to keep doing it.
How about the freshmen on the mound starting off for you guys? Whole pitching staff was great, but talk about Dax and what he means to this team just as a freshman in that spot.
It's just awesome to see him go out there with whatever the 24,000 people there was and throwing the same rock, same ball, and just doing what he does, punching it guys out and getting zeros. So that was awesome. He's an important piece for us.
You guys brought a piece of Corvallis here with you. How about these fans, and did you hear him throughout the game?
Definitely, for sure. Feels just like home here, even though you got a lot more people here, but we definitely feel at home here and we're ready to go.
Yeah, how about the emotions on the field there, the Gatorade bath, all of that? Is this what dreams are made of?
Exactly. That's what we dream about as kids, and now we're here doing it.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here at Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're live here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you there's all sorts of summer specials, including the Chicago Dog, maybe you're not making your way out to the ballpark today, but you still want a little taste of summer, come out here to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. You can watch the games, you can have a hot dog, and some great summer drinks as well. Make sure you come check it out here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. DB, you were talking about something interesting there with Sam that I kind of want to get back to.
Talk to me.
Because we were kind of talking about recruiting rankings and how sort of people are viewed nationally or by the consensus of evaluators in the media versus Nebraska trusting their evaluations and trusting their process of kind of how they go about things. And what I heard you saying, so correct me if I'm wrong here, is because Sam kind of pushed back and he's like, well, if you get the higher end guys, then you've got higher upside. What I heard you saying was Nebraska is going to evaluate their guys independently of star rankings.
Yeah.
And
I thought that was pretty clear.
And if they go, hey, we view this guy the same as this guy, they don't like Obot's a great example. Bronow's a great example as well, where you go, hey, they were the first offers or very early in on the offer. I think they were the first offer for Obot. They're very early in on the offer for CJ. And you go, okay, they don't care if that guy turns into.
Remember when I joked about them being in Idaho last year?
Yeah.
I'm like,
that was him.
Yeah.
So I don't think they care if Obot or CJ turn into really highly touted guys or 5 stars, 4 stars, whatever, or if they stay in that kind of underrated 3-star realm, they view them the same way. Like their eval doesn't change based on where the rankings end up. Their eval is that's a really good player that we can help and has a super high upside to develop into an NFL player.
It's the number one reason why I say if they win, like they could blow the doors off this thing because they've already proven they can evaluate talent.
Mm-hmm.
I like that's indisputable.
Absolutely. They've done it at every stop they've been at.
So, well, not even that.
Okay.
Just look at how the guys turn out that they're recruiting,
mm-hmm.
that we call diamonds in the rough that other people see that end up blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a real thing. I mean, he doesn't grandstand at a presser to say that. I mean, he clearly was bothered by the fact that his point was what we were just saying. They recruit the way that they recruit, and it's regardless of what anybody else thinks about them. And if they stay the 3-star, it's they find diamonds in the rough.
Mm-hmm.
That pissed him off. Then it was
but their eval is the same.
Still, then some of these guys, then they go to camp at Ohio State and they get offered and they blow up, and it's like, no, we weren't looking at diamonds in the rough. We trust our eval process.
The same way Ohio State does.
So I'm saying it's like if you win, it's exponentially increased.
Mm-hmm.
But if your eval is consistent as a talent evaluator and they don't, you still value the guy the same so you can go back and get it if you have to.
And I'll even go as far as to say, because I think this does happen, if an Ohio State or a Georgia takes a guy at camp and offers him, those people automatically get bumps in their ratings, right? Nebraska's not at the point where nationally, in terms of an eval and ranking system, they get the benefit of the doubt with the offer yet. Mm-hmm. Ohio State does. Like if Ohio State offers a guy that we don't really know about, boom, that guy's a 4-star tomorrow, basically. Like that's typically how it works. Same thing with Georgia, same thing with Alabama, like all these high-level teams, right? They get an offer, and I'm sure some of our recruiting guys would push back on me on this, but it seems it's the way it works is if there's an unknown, they get offered by a big-time school, they get 4 stars basically the next day.
Well, when did Lincoln Kienholz get valued?
After Ohio State.
Yeah.
Right? So, but I think
remember once upon a time he was just a quarterback from up
South
Dakota.
Dakotas. So I think it's actually kind of funny the way you put it because I don't even know that their recruiting would change. Like, yes, they'd have opportunities with different guys that they don't have now if they really start to win.
It's not going to change. It's just going to be.
Well, the funniest part about it is they could get the exact same guys and the recruiting rankings are going to get better because if Nebraska starts winning 10 games a year and they start putting these guys in the NFL, then the same thing's going to happen in Nebraska.
Yeah, it will be.
It'll
be, Nebraska offered. He must be good.
He must be a 4-star, right? Like, so it could be the exact same guys, the exact same process. And if Nebraska starts to win, they will get valued differently by the recruiting rankings. And that's fine. Like, I understand they can't go out and see every single guy. They have to have some shortcuts into how they evaluate people. I totally understand that. So I'm not hating on the system at all. But what I'm saying is there are some flaws in it to say, hey, if you've got guys that they don't have as good of a feel on, Nebraska's going to start getting the benefit of the doubt with those evals if they start winning.
Yeah, and you know what's funny?
And like you said, their process won't have changed.
It's when Coach Snow came in, and had the thoughts on Darian, and he said to Coach Rule, he's like, "Listen, this is a player that will go to Iowa State and lead the country in interceptions, and you're gonna be pissed. Bring him in for an eval." So you can't do that with everybody.
Yeah.
But you're fortunate when a guy is in your backyard, you can do that.
Yeah.
But the recruiting has intensified since then. Now he's already doing his thing. So hear my heart on that. I think it's just funny that they are a little leery of do we need to go back and look at
this? Is this going to come back and bite us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need
No,
to
you
go
have
back
to.
You just do.
We've talked about, especially with local guys, we've talked about this, right? You don't get you get more grace as a coaching staff. I'm not saying it's easier on the players. You get more grace as a coaching staff if you take a shot on a local guy and it doesn't work out than if you say, hey, I think he might not be a good fit for us, and he goes and blows up somewhere else. Yeah. Even if he wasn't a good fit, right? Like there's guys I'm sure that have been out there that Nebraska goes and say
that's funny. You guys bring him up.
Noah Roberts.
He'll bring him up quite a bit.
Yeah,
he's like, we offer. So
TK brought up. He goes, take Noah Roberts. He camped in Nebraska, gets an offer, a little buzz. The next weekend, his rating jumped because he got an Ohio State offer.
Rule didn't give him a name.
That's who he was talking about.
But that's what he's talking about.
Yeah,
it's not like he camps at Nebraska and remember the buzz though. There wasn't really any. It was like, oh, he's a diamond in the rough guy. He said then Ohio State brings the same person in and they offer, and that's what he gets. So
all of a sudden he's a 4-star.
It's just fun. I mean, that's exactly
what we're talking about. Although hopefully that's one of those guys that makes a little hay in the Chandler, little Chandler connection we got there.
So I think part of the validity of what they think internally is a pretty solid eval process could be vastly substantiated by winning.
Absolutely.
Which is it's the only reason I say
and then it'll be substantiated by stars. And it'll be substantiated by ratings.
He could turn it into a monster, but you have to start with the eval process. If your eval process is good, you're always going to have a chance.
Yeah, you're going to still have an opportunity.
So.
And let's not kid ourselves here. Even if you're dealing with high-end guys, maybe even especially if you're dealing with high-end guys, your eval process still better be really good.
Yeah, which makes like what Callahan was doing pretty interesting because he wasn't like on the recruiting trail, like going to see guys. It was I need the lists, and he could go from that, which is incredible.
But you could maybe argue that's why he didn't win more than he did with those guys.
Yeah, because of the relationship.
Yeah,
I mean, I get it.
The relationship and the fit, right? Like the guys that Rule's bringing in, and we've yet to see if it's going to work at a high level. I think it is, but we haven't seen
You're talking about from a winning standpoint.
Yeah, from the wins, right? So we haven't seen that yet. So I fully acknowledge that. I think it's coming. I think it's coming sooner rather than later. But the thing about that is the fit's going to be right because they've spent the time with it. They've seen those guys up close. It's the reason I kept asking with the 7-on-7 thing that came up last week, right? It's the reason I kept asking the battle at the Boneyard, right? It's the reason I kept asking our guys like, hey, why is Nebraska trying to do this? Why do they want to do this? And what was the answer? They want to get eyes on these guys, right? The better, like the closer up you can get a look at these guys, it's not just on tape, right? It looks different on tape than it does in person. It looks different.
That's how I felt about Ahmed. Tight end.
Ahmad Hudson.
Yeah, Hudson.
Like it looks different on tape than it does in person.
Yeah, it's like,
Like, did you get a full appreciation for how big that dude is on tape? He's a monster.
And he kind of looks slow until you watch how he plays.
He's smooth.
He's a position guy.
Yeah. Like he'll get his body in the right spot.
He knows how to use his body.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's from hooping, playing in the like he's got really, really good body control. So it's a skill set that I'm
can
like
kind of hold guys off a little bit.
I'm like, that's impossible.
Yeah. And he's 6'7", 240.
And you're saying that I would imagine this is what he was saying. Just put it here. I got you.
Yeah.
And then if quarterback can put it there. Now eventually you're going to go
Trey
against
Taylor can, but
I get eventually you're going to go against
better guys
that can make. No, he's going against some fellas now, but as you get older, like you'll have to obviously work on some of the intricacies because I do think it's next to impossible to play basketball and football.
But when you are starting at 6'7", 240, there's fewer guys that can get to some of those spots.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
know what I mean?
We arguably one of the greatest athletes at the high school level.
Strick?
And yes. You'd watch him play basketball and guard 94 feet. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Cat-like quick. He came out to football practice, and it was like
it's a different skill set.
It just wasn't. It just wasn't going to work. Yeah. Like it's hard. There's a reason you don't see football, basketball. Like it's just hard.
Really, really hard.
It is hard at that level.
Even just from a practical standpoint, right? Even if we're not talking about skill set, let's say you've got the exact skill sets required to be good at it. Just the practical overlap of seasons, and you get no opportunity to kind of ease in from one to the other, makes it almost impossible.
Yeah,
like
the in-person thing is big because I just don't think they got. You do your homework, right? You talk about being a Berean, and it's like guys visiting without spending, like they never get to see the good stuff. It's like, hey, we'll take you on a game day. We don't really want you on a game day because typically
should be at practice.
This is not how it goes.
Yeah, that's 8 times over the course of 52 weeks.
Yeah, so
right,
let's
actually a game day.
Let's go to Lincoln, let's go around Lincoln. Let's cook a meal. Let's watch television. What's
it like to live here?
Let's come to a practice. Like, what's it like to actually live here? Because it's like the reality of it is that's normally what happens. You only get to play the game there's only 14 or 15 or at minimum 12 Saturdays, right?
And only 8 of them are at home.
They don't, and that's if you're lucky.
Yeah, best case scenario, 8 of them are at home, probably 7 most years.
So I mean, I think you do have to make sure that this place is for you.
That's why you get a chance to get these guys to stick, though. Like, that's what he's talking about, where he's like, hey, if you show them what's actually going to be like here, you have an opportunity for them to actually want to stick around because there's no surprises, right? Like, it's really easy to make somebody – like, anybody can make a game day experience fun.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody. Like, that's not hard to do. Can you make somebody want to be here when you're just showing them, hey, this is what a regular practice looks like. This is just a Wednesday. What's that look like for you? This is an off-season Saturday. What's that look like for you? Because that's what your life's going to be like, right? It's like those people that, they go on these, like, big extravagant dates and stuff all the time. They don't know what it's like to just, like, hey, we're just like at home.
That's a funny example from Gang Dog because I thought that.
What's that?
When you watch Michael Jordan go back on a ball or track a ball, you're like, this is the guy that is
one of the best athletes of all time.
That is super graceful in the air.
Yeah.
That looks horrible.
Yeah. So, I mean, I use this all the time, right?
It's just hard. It's just hard. And that's baseball.
Yeah.
Let alone trying to have quick change of direction and get open and route run.
Yeah, like running as a DB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got an asterisk. Did he not finish it was tough. It was tough. But I got it though. And everybody's like, hey man, that's pretty cool. There are a couple articles. I'm like, just try to come out like the middle of not playing. It's just a different sport.
It really is. And you, like I said, you just get no time to prepare yourself to go back and forth the way you do with football and baseball. You get a little bit of a gap there.
And
Go ahead,
sorry,
no,
and even not in just on watching it on TV, just looking at it in pictures. I mean, he looks awkward, just pictures in baseball.
It's caused hand wringing and consternation at home too, right? Why? Micah was clearly a better basketball player growing up, and he's still growing up. Clearly a better basketball player. He was playing
heading into high school.
Yeah, he was playing on the JV summer team as an 8th grader. And he was small too. He's pretty good, holding his own. And then all of a sudden he says, "Well, I'm not going to play basketball anymore." No warning, no nothing.
This was before last season, high school season, right?
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And I let it go. I didn't even say anything to Coach Simons. I let it go. I listened. So a couple weeks later, I said to Caleb, I said, do you know that Micah is not playing basketball. He said, yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah.
I said, well, what'd he say? And he said, instead of however many it was, 15 or 16 Power 5 offers, he said you could have had 25 or 26 if you weren't wasting your time with basketball. I couldn't believe it. But that's how he thinks.
Yeah.
Because he saw what happened.
Yeah. No, he had an example in front of him.
You know, he's like, and so, but what's happened is now he's a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
He lifts in the, Caleb didn't do anything.
Yeah. He never had a real off season until
because he's
he
traveling
Nebraska,
on
right?
the shoe circuit. So it's like, and I get it. He was good there. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So you bought yourself some time as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, well, he played well in this tournament, and this. It's not like I ever thought that's what he was going to go to school for, but he was flourishing. So you didn't want him to
I mean, there's a minute you kind of thought he might.
Early.
Yeah. Like early high school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? We probably should lift, or we probably should go train, or we probably should do this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was doing that stuff without really any preparation.
Yeah, no training whatsoever.
Like never a great lifter.
Mm-hmm.
It's just never trained for it. And so I think it has deterred.
Yeah, Mike Hassan's like, I don't want to do it that way.
It deterred him. So he doesn't even want to mess with it. And now what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
I go the other way, and I'm bothered that he's not hooping.
Because you had like a knockdown drag out with Caleb at one point, didn't you?
Yeah.
About like, hey, we got to get after this?
Yeah. It was yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gets invited to, he's a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an invite-only camp at Notre Dame. And he wants to go to Indy and play in the showcase.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right. Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah.
That was tough.
Because you have to watch your kid make what you think is a mistake. Right? Like that's do you think he's cost himself opportunities?
Not a good time.
And now you're
he's where he should be, but
now you're the other way on Micah.
The basketball, it's just hard.
It is. It's hard. It's really, really hard to do both. Just even from a practical standpoint, even if you're good enough.
But to the point about like the recruiting and the weekend and dairy, like these small little intimate things and the weird things that they do they're just not normal OVs.
Mm-hmm.
It's the different parts of the community that you're going to be in, or just like cooking or grocery.
And you've been on several recently, so like you have a good frame of reference.
100%.
Yeah, like this isn't
and
just
I
you
kind of know,
talking.
and I kind of know what they do because I've watched
And
multiple weekends in a row. I saw Marty. I see David Sanders. Like I know.
And you've had guys go other places from Westside as well, so like you have a really good feel for not just with your kid and not just with Nebraska.
They're just dead.
But what's going on other places?
They're dead set on not making it about the game day experience, and it is a total 180 of how this place has functioned for X amount of years.
How many times a year? Got to get him on Saturday.
Yep.
Got to get him here on a Saturday.
Just got to see the game, and so I think you have to take some time. It's a dice roll.
I think it's why they didn't care as much about the spring game as some of the other.
No question, it's a dice roll.
Yeah.
And you won't know how it pans out until
they start to win or don't.
You start to win, or you don't win enough, and
yeah.
But it was a very interesting. The only thing we've seen pay dividends on the short term is that guys don't want to leave.
Yeah, guys stick around.
We haven't really seen it in the wins and loss column, although you've steadily gotten better.
Gotten better.
But the main thing we've seen is guys are not chomping at the bit to leave.
But let's be transparent here.
And then you get other people to kind of sell it too, like a Dane Key or an Isaiah Hunter, who are like,
oh, it's different here.
Man, this place is legit.
So let's not I want to not poo-poo that too much, because outside of the wins, which we all understand is the end-all be-all, right? Probably the second biggest complaint Nebraska fans had was about the attrition of high-end recruits. Is that fair?
What's that?
The second biggest complaint Nebraska fans had after the wins and losses, which is obviously one, and then there's a huge gap. But I think you can make the argument that number two was the attrition of high-end recruits, guys that would come here.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah,
I mean, we heard about the Flowbraska and the Calabraska and all this stuff, and we get mad, and they're like, these guys never did anything, and then they transferred, or they left before they even played. like shoring that up is a win. Like it 100% is. Now, the actual wins still have to come. I get that. And if they don't, nothing else matters. But let's not pretend like along the way, they haven't shored up some of the other major problems that we had.
Yeah, and I'm pitting it against.
And that does matter.
Like just pre-existing knowledge where, because each coach went through something different, you know. With Bo, he was coming up, he inherited a lot of really good players, and he won a ton of games. And then he had to sustain it. And then as he's doing a good job sustaining it, it wasn't enough from the outside, right? And so then Bo kind of says some things. I'm just talking about recruiting. I'm not talking about any of the controversial stuff. I'm like, we got to get some more ready-made guys. And then fans are like, oh, man, what about development?
Well, and he talked about how hard it is to get the guys to Nebraska.
Right. And then we went to, Riley, who with the Friday Night Lights and getting these studs on campus. And he got a few, but they didn't stick around because that was kind of pageantry, right? Then we got to Frost, and it was, hey, I got the Florida Connects. I know these high school coaches. Man, I'm hitting these guys on Thursday, Friday, Saturday driving. I can get them up here. So they came for Coach Frost. Then COVID hits or whatever hits, and you have to get out in the city of Lincoln or spend a month of cold weather, and it's like,
what am I doing here?
This doesn't have anything to do with Scott Frost. He can't control this. So then those guys leave, and then you get a coach that's like, you know what? Let's make sure you actually want to be here, and then we'll invest. But then what was some of the downside of that? Well, you're going to make the local, you're treating the local guys like that too? And he's like, yeah, because there's a lot of pressure when these guys stay and have to answer questions every day. So let's just make sure. I don't have any problems with that.
I don't either. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We got Kendall Rogers from D1 Baseball coming up next. We're going to recap the opening weekend of the College World Series here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
LSU is back in Omaha, and so is Livy Dunn. Livy, why do you want to make the trip back here?
First of all, when I came in 2023, it was one of the best experiences ever. It was so much fun, so I had to come back, support the Tigers, and also I had to rep the Tigers and also Paul. So, yeah, it was just a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, where did we get this jersey? Where'd you get it from?
Someone sent it to me. I can't remember the name right now, but it was too cute to not wear today, so I had to rep.
Well, what's it like seeing Paul now on the MLB stage, Rookie of the Year, just all of his accolades? How fun is it getting to follow him and see him pitch on the big stage?
You know what? Watching him go from college through the minors to the MLB has been honestly such a dream and so fun to watch. It all happened so fast. So I'm telling all my teammates right now that are dating the players here on the LSU team in Omaha, I'm telling them to savor every memory because I don't know if anything really tops Omaha because it's so fun here.
Experience that you guys played here a few weeks ago, lost your last game here. How motivated was this group to leave the stadium today with a victory?
It was great. I mean, coming off that loss against Nebraska, Coach told us to really just take what we can with the game and just be that much more hungry to get back here. So that was the goal for the last couple weeks, just to get back here. We got a taste of it a few weeks ago, and we're happy to be back.
Your teammate the other day, Roman Martin, shared with us, you guys weren't happy with your at-bats at the end of the season. How do you guys change your mindset to the postseason, change your mentality and walk in the box?
Just getting back to the Bruin approach. Just fighting, taking the approach through the at-bat versus what's on the mound. And then when you get 2 strikes, just fight.
There's 8 sophomores in the starting lineup. You guys are a really experienced group, though, and you guys decided that Omaha was going to be the goal. What motivates this sophomore group?
Especially the year last year, it's a big motivation, but just the love that we have for each other. We know we're only going to be playing college baseball for so long, and then we'll all split up and go do whatever it is. Just wanting to win with this group is very special to us.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Pulled into the gap toward right center with Talt on the move and out of his reach. Bodine scores. Barthel right behind him. Mitchell to the plate, and it's a bases clearing double for Kobe Hurrdat.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We are joined now by Kendall Rogers from D1 Baseball. Kendall, how are you this morning?
I'm doing awesome. How about you guys?
We're hanging in there, buddy. So far, I've kind of tried to make the case. It's fair. It's been fairly crisp. The pace has been good, and I get it. A couple of 8-run games, but not super offensive. How much of that do you think is the early rotations, and even with Root, and you come in and with Gak, you get the cut stopper, so you don't get too crazy in the bullpen. But how much of this do you think of the scoring and how it's being played has to do with the pitcher staying on schedule versus these are just kind of the teams that we have here this year, and can this kind of continue?
Yeah, I don't think it has a lot to do with the pitchers. I do think it's to some degree it's the type of teams we have here, but also it doesn't feel like the ballpark has really played beneficial to hitting home runs. The ball's not really carrying very much. Frankly, even to the corners, it's not really carrying a ton. I mean, you have to kind of keep it low and really put a pretty good barrel on it. There were a couple of hits in yesterday's Louisville-Arizona game that kind of went in the gap, and you're thinking oh man, off the bat, that's going to travel, and it didn't really travel.
Yeah, what was the one? It was 111. It was 111 off the bat, velo, and it was not quite a can of corn. He ran it down kind of just in front of the tracks, and I was like, wow, really?
Yeah, exactly. So maybe it's just the elements a little bit. I mean, hopefully it changes, because I kind of feel like last year's World Series was the opposite of this from a power standpoint. So maybe things kind of change on a whim as we get a little further into this tournament.
Little cooler weather too. I mean, relatively speaking, it's all relative. So I guess we'll see. I just prefer cleaner games, and I don't know why I associate clean with lower scoring, but it seems like that's kind of how my mind works.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the games so far, Arizona is a prime example. I thought Arizona, frankly, the 2 games played sloppy. I thought they made some iffy decisions in terms of when they were bringing guys out of the bullpen. Mason White really struggled yesterday. They just made some boneheaded mistakes, over the last couple of games.
I'm still kicking myself over Carolina, man. I'm like, wow, this team beat Carolina?
Yeah, exactly. That's college baseball, though, right?
Yep.
I mean, not only that, but they lost the first game, 18-2, and they came back and won that series. So just goes to show you that, it just depends on the weekend. It really does.
Kendall, as we're sitting here, we've seen obviously a few days worth of games so far. Who have you been most impressed by in the opening weekend of the College World Series?
Coastal Carolina. I mean, that's a really good team. And what I was talking to somebody about this last night about Coastal, and it's kind of funny. I saw the 2016 team in the Hilton lobby. They're all here supporting this team, which I think, by the way, is really cool. But somebody asked me hey, how do you think this team compares to the 16 team? I said, hey, here's the thing. I said the 16 team was a true kind of Cinderella kind of team. They were more offensive, but I tell you what, if you remember back to those arms they had on that team, I mean, it was kind of funky arm angles. It was guys with kind of really odd stuff just overall. But I mean, this team is legit in terms of the arms. I mean, if you look at the arms they trotted out the first couple of games, Last night I thought Jacob Morrison was electric. I mean, he
Yeah.
was still 94, 95 late in the game. Just nasty overall stuff. He kept a really good Oregon State lineup off balance. So I think Coastal and just the way they've gone about it, I mean, that is not a team who was just satisfied getting Omaha. That is a team who, after they beat Auburn, thought they were a national champion. And right now, it's hard to bet against them at this point. I mean, they've won 25 straight, and to win 25 straight at this juncture of the season is pretty insane.
So let me ask you something, because Ravi is kind of infatuated with them getting here, and he's a big Schnall guy. And should he get more credit? People talk about what he inherited, but should he get more credit for kind of their style of play? And they play exactly how he interviews. Like, their temperament is pretty dialed in.
Yeah, I mean, last night at the game, I don't even know what publication it was. We have not done our All-American team, so it definitely wasn't us. But somebody didn't have Jacob Morrison on like any of their 3 All-American teams, which I don't know how that's possible. But he just went off on that, like right after winning the second game of the College World Series. And you're right. I mean, that's kind of just the way they are, and it's not in a. I don't feel like he does those things in like a rude way. It's just in a, hey, I'm going to fight for my kids. And like players, respond, they react to that kind of stuff. And so I just think they're one of those teams that, they're really good. They're really talented. They have one of the best catchers in the country in Caden Bodine, behind the plate. And they're playing like a team who expects to be doing what they're doing.
It seems like the word I would use with Schnall is it seems like he advocates for his program and for his guys, which
he definitely does that.
Which you have to do that at a place like Coastal.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing I appreciate the most is just because you don't always see coaches do that. You don't see coaches bus roll their guys very often, but like that dude seems like one of his first priorities to advocate for his players in his program. And I don't know, that resonates with me.
No, it does. And, the thing is, I've known Kevin since his UCF days as an assistant, and he's always been one of those guys, even with us, off the field, like he's advocating and kind of fighting for his guys. Now he's not, calling us out, but I mean, he's, hey, keep an eye on this guy, or hey, as you guys are doing All-American teams, think about this kid. So, I actually really appreciate that. I do think at a place like Coastal where you have Clemson and South Carolina down the road, North Carolina not that far away, NC State, et cetera, you've got to do that. You've got to do some things that are a little bit out of the norm of like an SEC or ACC school.
Kendall, let me ask you something. And I know they got the win with UCLA, but that offensive lineup, just watching them in the Big Ten, I mean those guys can swing it. And Zenko and Oakley did a good job shutting them down after the 6 through the first 5. When you look at UCLA's lineup, we talk about balance and power and ways that they can get you. Are you seeing that when you've watched them in this postseason, or who do you think they are really offensively?
Yeah, I think they're just good enough, and I think they're opportunistic. Frankly, they kind of remind me of Coastal. Like Pitt and I were talking last night, like they're almost a lot like Coastal in the sense that if you look at what they've done on the mound in the postseason, like it's just been like dude after dude getting it done. And you look at the other day with Easton Hawk coming out of the bullpen, up to 98.
Yes,
just filthy stuff. It's just go ahead.
I mean, Souza was the iffy one, and it's like if that's the case, it's like they're probably pretty good. I mean, Man O'Connor closed the door.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
They have a lot of options on the mound, and I think offensively, Coastal. That's the thing about Coastal is like they're not an incredible offensive team, but what they do is every inning you look up and they've got somebody in scoring position. And I feel like UCLA is a little bit like that. I feel like UCLA, every time you look up, it's like, okay, there's a guy at third or there's a guy at second base. They can do things a little differently. I mean, you think about the other day, and I know John Savage said he did not call it, but I mean, Rock Chalowski has the smart idea to drop down the bunt, the safety there, and score another run. So both of these teams can do things a little differently, and both of them are playing extremely well. I would not put it out of the realm of possibility that they beat LSU tonight. I just think they're playing really well. I'm picking LSU, but I'm just saying it would not shock me at all.
So, Kendall, I got to ask this about Arkansas here. And I know it's a one-game sample size, so I'm trying not to overreact. But they play in what I think can favorably be described as a bandbox down there in Fayetteville. They had 7 guys with double-digit home runs over the course of the season. And then they get to Omaha where I think generously. It plays sort of like the Polo Grounds this year. Like, is there like how much of that is, hey, they ran into a really good LSU team?
Max Anderson was deep.
That Anderson was just shoving, and you're just going, hey, like that's kind of is what it is. And how much of it you go, hey, like maybe they got a little bit of false sense of who they were offensively because of their ballpark. And that's a team that, if I remember correctly, played like 68% of their games at home this year.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Baum is late in the season it can play a little more offensive, but I mean, it plays very pitcher friendly for, I mean, I don't know, the first like 2 months of the season, 2.5 months of the season, just because of the way the wind is there. But I think, frankly, like I don't take too much from that because Cade Anderson's really good. That's my third time to see him pitch this year in person.
I said Max Anderson because he's a Husker.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think he's the best college pitcher. I mean, I don't even think it's close between him and Jamie Arnold. I just think his ability to make pitches. So I think it's more Cade Anderson than it is Arkansas. We'll find out a lot more here later today. But there's no doubt. I mean, I thought Arkansas, in the post game, it was interesting. I thought Arkansas seemed pretty deflated. Which, I mean, yeah, you lost in Omaha, but I mean, hey, your run's not over. You got a lot of pitching depth, and so I'm kind of curious to see how they come out today. Do they come out very aggressive offensively, or do they come out a little bit timid?
I thought it was Burke that said you could slot him in a 6-man rotation, Anderson in the majors today. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I would do it. Yeah, absolutely.
I thought that was interesting. And I mean, but I could see where Arkansas was discouraged because LSU left 8 on base. Arkansas wasn't even getting on base. I mean, that was a shutdown to the fullest, I think, for what that crowd was expecting.
Yeah, for sure. I actually, before the game, you're walking around the ballpark and you're thinking, man, this is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
But, mainly because of just the way the game went pitching-wise, like it really wasn't inside. Like it was just a regular game. So, I think for Arkansas, I mean, if you look at that game today against Murray, or, they're going to need to get off to a really good start. Just kind of get those juices flowing again.
Kendall, of the teams that you've got left, so I guess just everybody but Arizona at this point, 1 through 9, whose lineup scares you the most?
Ooh, it's a great question. I mean, I said they just lost last night, but I still think for me, like I probably still lean Oregon State. Like when Oregon State's clicking, to me they're just incredibly dangerous because they've got guys like AJ Singer, Easton Talt at the bottom of that lineup who, when they're good, they're clutch. They get put the bat on the ball. So those guys, when they're rolling, will be the most dangerous lineup for me. LSU. The one thing about LSU that's interesting is if you look at what they've done offensively over the last couple of months, they're just not one of those teams that's going to ambush you very often. Like you're going to have to give them a couple of chances for them to ambush you, and that's where, not to get looking ahead too much, but I mean that's where. If they play Coastal, I mean, that's an interesting matchup in the championship series because Coastal, like, they're the type of team, like, you're going to have to deliver a knockout punch. Like, they are not going to hand it to you on a silver platter. And, that kind of fits against what LSU, how LSU kind of wins games.
Yeah, I guess Krieg, Weber, Turley. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's a good lineup.
But behind Arquette.
Really
But and what's interesting
not
about
bad,
you,
buddy.
What's interesting about you bringing them up is I thought Forbes deserved a better outcome than what he got. He just was going against, Whitney, who early was literally untouchable.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, in Louisville, I'll give them some credit too. I mean, that's an interesting lineup too. It took them a while to get going yesterday, but Zion Rose and Eddie King Jr. and Tay Davis, a really talented freshman. I mean, that's a scary lineup too when they're gone.
We're talking with Kendall Rogers from D1 Baseball. Kendall, as we kind of move through the rest of the week, we kind of talked about pitching early and guys that had their best guy, or teams that has their best guys going at the beginning part of the series. Whose pitching staff do you like the rest of the way to kind of navigate either, like an Arkansas trying to move back through the losers bracket or have an opportunity when you've got to use so many different guys?
Yeah, it'd be Arkansas for me. I mean, Arkansas's got the deepest pitching staff here. They can mix and match really well. That I thought it was interesting that DVH took Zach Root out of the game after 38 pitches. After hearing his reasoning with Ethan Fry at the plate, I totally get it. But with him coming out of the game with 38 pitches, if they win today, that starts to get very interesting because, I mean, they can bring him back conceivably in the next game if they wanted to. And then, they're back to their number 2 and number 3 in the rotation again. So I think Arkansas, for me, they've got a lot of bullets to waste there in the back end of that bullpen.
Team, Kendall, do you get a sense that there's a team where just like how you feel about their vibe, that they've got something brewing that maybe we can't see from not being that close to the ball clubs?
Yeah, I will say this. Coastal would be that team, but I will say this. It's interesting listening to LSU in the postgame the other day that that is a very determined and very business-like team. That was not a team that's just happy to be in Omaha. And I know people are like, well, of course, it's LSU. They're like they expect to win it all. But it's one thing to act like you are that determined, and it's one thing to kind of show it. And, Kate Anderson after the game the other day, he was like, hey, I pitched well, but, like, this game means nothing. Like, this is not what I want. And so I just think LSU seems to really, really be locked in this tournament. And, we get Coastal the same way. So if those two play, boy, watch out.
Kendall, I wonder sometimes, especially with people that kind of work in the industry, you've been covering College World Series for a long time. Is there a part of you that still allows yourself to sort of get caught up in the sentimental stuff? Like I'm watching Dustin Mercer in this press conference talk about this is baseball heaven, and I never felt famous until I got here. And like, it kind of, I don't know, like it tugs at you a little bit. Like, obviously you do this for a living, so you see a lot of that kind of stuff. Like, how much impact does that still have on you outside of just the baseball stuff, but the sort of the personality and emotional things?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I'll just, not to make it about myself, but I like even personally when I come here, like it's always I'm like probably one of the only few people in the world that get off the plane at Epley Airfield and go, oh man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like a slight at Omaha, but like there's not many people that would say that. And so, whether it's that or, going around the old market or, you see the same people that you've seen here for 20 years, the guy at the elevator, the older guy at the elevator, it's like, I told him the other day, I was like, man, I'm really glad to see you. Cause it's like, that's an old dude, So, I mean, he's been here since this place opened.
Yeah.
And so, it's those things for me. It's just all the people that I've seen here for so long. I mean, heck, talking to you guys during this World Series, it's always, really cool. And, for those players, I love that stuff because at the end of the day, and coaches get caught saying this a lot, and I get fans probably roll their eyes, but they say, hey, there's only one team that's going to leave here happy, and that's the team that wins the national championship. I don't really think that's true. I think every team that gets to Omaha should feel pretty happy and pretty proud of what they've accomplished, and it's cool to see guys like Dustin Mercer kind of lean into that a little bit.
Kendall, I'm going to get you out here on this. I told Ravi, listen, I'm from here, so I've seen this a ton, and since its inception at the ballpark in the 11-12 season. Does it seem, and maybe I'm pitting against the field because there aren't any repeaters from last year, but it seems like there's more people here. I don't know how you could actually count, but are places that you normally, as a creature of habit, does it seem like there's more people here than normal?
It feels about the same.
Does it?
But
Okay.
I will say this, typically at the Hilton where we stay, we typically have, last year was A&M, the year before that was LSU, Mississippi State before that. So the lobby is typically packed, but like Coastal, with their fan base size, you're thinking like, okay, well, it'll be a little calmer down there this year. Not exactly.
There's so many Coastal
people
up here.
So he said that in the opening segment too.
There's
Like
so
that
many
was the
Coastal
first thing that
people
stuck
here.
out to him. Was
There were a
Coastal.
lot of Coastal fans down there. So, maybe it is one of those things where some of these other, schools like Coastal are bringing a few more people than usual. Obviously, teams like UCLA and Arizona had rather small crowds, but everyone else seems to be pretty well represented. And Oregon State, by the way, travels exceptionally well out here too.
That's our guy, Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball. Kendall, we appreciate the time. As always, enjoy the rest of the week.
You got it, boys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, KR.
Man, that's Kendall Rogers. Love that guy. Love talking to him. Love our guys over at D1 Baseball.
Easy going.
He kind of hit on something there that, like, I think it clicked for me. Part of the reason I love the College World Series so much and always have Like, you know how I feel about Omaha. Like, I love this place. I've
heard a couple of meltdowns over that.
I think part of the reason I love the College World Series so much is it's the only 2 weeks out of the year that everybody loves Omaha as much as I do.
I hear you.
And
you should be better rewarded for hitting the ball 111 miles an hour off the bat for a lazy out.
Listen, if I'm going 111,
Cody brings up a good point. The air is thick.
Oh yeah,
it is. Because I mean, there's some balls. I'm like,
if I go 111 off the bat and I don't at least get a double, I'm furious.
just a little simple over the shoulder catch.
I got this. No big deal.
Before the tracks.
We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
I'm Ravi, Lulla.
I'm Kenny Bell.
We're here from Hurrdat Sports. Don't worry, Metro Transit has you covered right here on the ballpark bus. Gonna run from right here down by the stadium, north of downtown, all the way up to Dodge Street, making a circle to drop you off wherever you need to go.
Oh, beautiful. So what's it cost?
It is free. It runs every 10 minutes, and it'll run almost all day until an hour after the last game. Or Kenny, if you're like me, you don't want to deal with driving downtown at all, Metro Transit has you covered there too. You can park out at West Roads for free and get a ride downtown through Orbit.
That's right. They added an extra Orbit stop at 10th and Capitol. Only $1.25. Fills up after the game. Quick, nice service right back out to West Roads.
$250 round trip, can't beat it.
And free parking? You kidding me?
Plan your trip or track your bus at myride.ometro.com.
Or download the MyRide OMA app.
Here at Charles Schwab Field. Wilson, what was your reaction from the dugout, wherever you were, for that hit, that walk-off?
That was awesome. I was on deck, so I was ready to go up there and get the job done if I needed to, but that's awesome. That's one way to start off our trip here, so it was a lot of fun.
Now, why can't you count this Oregon State team out ever?
That's just kind of how we do it. We've done it the whole year, and we're excited to keep doing it.
How about the freshmen on the mound starting off for you guys? Whole pitching staff was great, but talk about Dax and what he means to this team just as a freshman in that spot.
It's just awesome to see him go out there with whatever the 24,000 people there was and throwing the same rock, same ball, and just doing what he does, punching it guys out and getting zeros. So that was awesome. He's an important piece for us.
You guys brought a piece of Corvallis here with you. How about these fans, and did you hear him throughout the game?
Definitely, for sure. Feels just like home here, even though you got a lot more people here, but we definitely feel at home here and we're ready to go.
Yeah, how about the emotions on the field there, the Gatorade bath, all of that? Is this what dreams are made of?
Exactly, that's what we dream about as kids, and now we're here doing it.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
If you want to meet Hurrdat Sports out here at the Baseball Village, this is the worst place to go on the Ferris wheel. But you would be able to find it because we are out at the corner next to the old mat, and you could find sunglasses, hats, T-shirts, all the good stuff. And who knows, maybe you'll even run into Kyle Byers.
Yeah, rally towels. We got a bunch of candy down there. It's awesome. You know, like the best time of the year is this event because you get to swing through. You get to literally see the entire team all working together from Hurrdat Sports, and we're giving away stuff.
Yeah, and what else would you rather do than come hang out with us, sweat a little bit in the humidity, and then ride the Ferris wheel, which you can tell the baseball game's going on behind us as well. Logan's behind the camera. I mean, it's a full team effort today.
Yeah, and you know what? You've got the Omaha skyline right over there. You've got the ballpark right behind us, and then literally 600 different types of food that you can buy on the way from there all the way to the ballpark. So, yeah, I mean, you literally can't get it any better than sitting down.
Give me that cheddar, we getting Rico. Big bunny rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. And if you're down at Baseball Village, you want a debit card that's fast and secure. Centris Federal Credit Union has you covered. When you open a checking account at Centris, you get a free Visa debit card from Centris as well. It's the top of your wallet way to pay for everyday purchases. Built-in tap-to-pay technology as well. Go to centrisfcu.org to learn more about the checking accounts and debit cards federally insured by NCUA. So Todd in the chat chimes in about, hey, call me old school, but CWS just hasn't been the same since Rosenblatt got tore down. So I asked you off air, and we didn't want to get too into it because I didn't want to waste the magic. If you're a Rosenblatt guy or not.
I am a Rosenblatt guy.
Okay.
But
there's a lot of history there, I think, for both of us.
Yeah, can I just quantify
Yeah,
it?
absolutely.
So I don't know how hard line I would make the stance.
If you're comparing one versus the other.
Yeah, because there's pros and cons to both.
For sure.
I did like the intimacy of Rosenblatt.
There were some quirks for sure that were fun.
But like for the game experience, I just don't know if there's a real comparison.
There's not.
I have more room. I have more eating options.
Yeah, more bathroom options.
I have more. I mean, just the amenities alone.
Not even close.
But like, if you ask me, well, what makes it a hard question is because if you're asking me what I feel,
yes,
like I felt more connected to Rosenblatt.
For sure. I get it. Listen, I grew up going to Rosenblatt.
You know?
Yeah.
But the practicality
it's not
oozes
close. It's not close.
Downtown.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the only thing that ties us to Rosenblatt is nostalgia, which is fine. I get that. But like it's a really fun experience.
Yeah, I saw
Oda B.
McDowell at the Rosenblatt. You know what I mean? Roger Clemens.
Yeah. I mean, literally, I tell people this.
I thought Oda B. McDowell was a better player than Barry Bonds as a kid. Do you know why?
Because I'm with College World Series.
No, they both were there.
Okay.
I liked Oda B. Just seemed like.
I mean, it's a dope name. First of all,
I don't even know if I knew that they were actually good.
Yeah.
I didn't. I can't go back and say, oh, 6 man. I knew Barry Bonds was a stud.
Did he play in the majors? I mean, I'm just asking because I don't.
Oda B. McDowell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like the name Oda B. McDowell.
Yeah. No, it's a dope name.
So, like, those are the kind of things that I remember.
I totally understand. I mean, so I've told you this before. Literally, my first College World Series game is the Warren Morris walk-off game. That's the first game I ever went to at the College World Series. So, like, that leaves an impression on a young man.
And if you're asking me, like, about feels, like, I had more fun at Rosenblatt. But
you're also a kid.
But I work.
Yeah.
I've worked more at TD, so it's work for me there.
Yes, I had more fun at Rosenblatt. I was a kid.
So the question is about feels versus practicality. That's just the reason why.
Schwab is by not even close a better stadium. Like it's a better baseball experience.
I mean, yeah.
Like it's not even close,
yeah.
Right? And the baseball village is incredible. Like it's so much fun to be down there in the baseball village, have it all contained kind of within the city block. Like it's incredible. And I think for kids growing up now, it's an awesome experience. Right.
So better than tag teaming with, the zoo or walking up or having all the lots in people's yards where they would cook.
There was definitely some.
Like it had its advantages, though.
Yeah, it had some quirks. I'll give it had some quirks.
I wish I could go back and compare like the food experience too, because
the food's better now. Like
you
there's more
have a
options.
ton more options, but there
And you
were
got the
so many
food trucks in
you were so
Baseball
many
Village.
vendors.
Yeah.
Making like real food at Rosenblatt.
Yeah.
And not that the vendors don't now. I just don't get to as many vendors. Like they used to bring stuff by the booth and stuff.
Yeah.
But
those vendors are all still in Baseball Village.
It got real businessy for me.
It is a little more corporate. I'll give you that.
No.
It is a little more corporate, but man, it was I just have this I have this memory of Rosenblatt where and this it probably scarred me a little bit. So my sister and I were at Rosenblatt one year when there was a tornado warning.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had to cram about 20,000 people into that Rosenblatt concourse. And I got to tell you, that was one of the like stuffiest, worst smelling experiences of my entire life.
Yeah.
And
I mean, just the elevator at Rosenblatt was kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even very high.
I know. Well, it's like a 2-story building.
Like when I could see chains and wheels on the outside,
that elevator was awesome.
Not ideal.
I love that elevator.
I'm like, I'll take the stairs.
Not ideal. Yeah.
Just going up
It was
the aluminum
quicker.
stairs.
But yeah, for like I get the nostalgia, Rosebud. I really do. But like it's a pretty great experience now. And I bet for kids growing up, like they don't know the difference.
Can you imagine if you can just compare and contrast the difference in security between the two?
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
even know how Rosenblatt like could corral
How they did it.
Dude, some of the parking lots where people would just you're right on site. At least if you're in lot 7, you're across the street from the ballpark. At Rosenblatt, you're in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And then you had those parts across the street where people could park and
So do you remember, you ever like driven back behind the zoo or Rosenblatt in some of those neighborhoods?
Yeah.
Like it turns into feeling like rural Tennessee
You're
in a hurry.
scared.
Yeah, it feels like Appalachia.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
So I parked in I'm probably late high school, early college, I don't remember which, but it was me and my buddy. So we drove. So we were old enough to drive at least, but we were young. And so we go during for the all day. It was when you could still use the one ticket and be there all day. So we get there, probably 11 o'clock, 11:30 for the 1 o'clock game. And we park in somebody's yard back in one of those, back on the hills, as I like to call them.
And you thought that $5 to $10 for the day was a lot?
Well, but I think I paid $10, but everywhere else I had seen was 20. And I was like, oh, I got to steal. Right. And so we get back there. It's probably 10, 11 o'clock at night by the time we get back to, and I was like, oh God, we're not going to make it. Like by the time the sun went down where we had parked, I was like, oh no, we're not, no one's going to find our bodies.
That's crazy. I get it though. I get it. I remember we were coming back from where we parked for the players reunion in like 14 or 15.
Mm-hmm.
Had been there all day, and we parked down in the gravel lot where a lot of people tailgate, which I was not a pre or a post game. I was not a tailgater.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking back there with Burrs and T-Mo's. I'm like, this is super sketch. I'm exactly 1 block away from the stadium. There's a gas station across the street, and I'm like, what is going back here in this gravel alley? Like it doesn't take much to seem awkward at night after a long day, but it's just like,
yeah,
there's no lights over there.
There's no lights. It's like it was a gravel road back to somebody's yard.
Yeah.
It was tree lined, so it got real dark in a hurry.
That's why I didn't really, when I didn't know we were going to the second location at Lordson, but I knew right where I was going because I know where those neighborhoods are.
Yep.
Back there. So it was like, oh yeah, I'm right over here by here. And you're like, oh no, you went too far. And I was like, what, did I blink?
Yes.
And basically I did.
Yeah. You basically just blank and you miss there. Yeah.
But I know that area is.
You get
I used to have a couple buddies that were South of guys.
You get it more than a couple blocks east of 10th, and you're like, where am I in a different country? What's happening right now?
Yeah. What used to be on the corner? Was there anything on the corner before it was King Kong's, which is now not?
Is King Kong's gone?
Is King Kong still there?
Oh,
yeah, it is.
I think it is. Yeah.
Was there anything before it was that?
I think
I think we parked down there.
Yes.
Closer.
So
you could park on the grass and in the yards coming off the interstate. Like you just take your immediate right.
Yep. I think it was just a field. before King Kong's built that.
That what it
building.
was? Because
I
there was
remember
a lot of
parking
parking. Yeah,
in
you
like
just
a
take
field.
the first right.
You just like hop a curb and you're just like, I'm in this field now. This is my parking lot.
Do you remember the old time bar restaurant place that was across the street from Zesto's where you could eat? And it was kind of like the other place.
Yeah, yeah.
It's red brick.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but it was right across from Zesto's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my favorite was they just had 13th Street like in people's front yards lined with tents.
Yeah.
Like Baseball Village was literally just in everybody's front yard. And you'd go up and down. And
Yeah, I think the Blatt is for feels, but I'm not going to die on
practically
the functionality of
functionally the Chuck I think is a better experience.
It seemed like I walked through a lot more mud.
Oh God, there was
Rosenblatt.
by like day 4. It doesn't matter if it had rained or
because
not.
they had chewed up the
it was
cars
all
parking
mud.
on the grass. Yeah.
It was all. I was like, it hasn't rained in 3 weeks. How is there mud?
Spilt beer.
Yes.
Ice
It
coolers.
was, and people peeing just in random places.
Okay, that's a little much, but yeah.
You know it's true.
Probably. I'm not thinking like that then, but yeah, now. Oh.
Like there's just so much nonsense going on out there. It was wild.
I
do have nostalgia for Rosenblatt, but
that's why I think it needed an explanation.
But
It wasn't like a cut and dry answer. Much more fun at Rosenblatt, but it does have to do with the fact with my age.
Yeah, if I was a kid now, I don't know that I'd have any less fun at Schwab.
I don't know. Do you like the functionality of the Village?
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's really great. Like even as an adult, I really like having all my food vendors are here. They've turned it into much more of like a party too, because you've got the after hour zone and they bring bands on and stuff.
I'm gonna definitely check out the food trucks.
The food trucks in the Baseball Village are really good. There's some really good stuff in there.
But I eat so much different now.
There's some there's some pretty good barbecue places in there.
Yeah, really.
I don't know what your standard is, so I'm hesitant. I know you have very high standards for your barbecue and your smoked meats and stuff like that. So I don't want to.
It was pretty good.
But like I was like, oh, this is pretty good.
Gotcha.
So I was pleased. I was pleasantly surprised.
I think when it was at the Blatt, it was much more of a hidden gem. Like as in like Omaha knew it.
Like the nuances of the neighborhood and stuff.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
And
it was intimate. It was more intimate. Like
it was
you said.
more
Like,
intimate.
It was very,
yeah.
It felt like a family, like a little
I
family.
want to know
reunion.
what the place was to eat across the street from Zesto's.
I can't remember.
And why they were second fiddle. Was it their hours or was it just Zesto's was the place to eat?
I think when it's 130 degrees outside in June, you just want some ice cream.
Yeah. Well, and it was so it's just it's just weird how it's changed, right? It used to be cool to eat a hot dog and a burger. You know, you'd be chopping it up. Now it's like you're paying for a hot dog and a burger. They have so much more. You know what it is? It's just like it's just changed.
If I'm going to a baseball game, there is a 100% chance I'm eating a hot dog every single time. 100% chance.
It's why it's part of America's pastime.
It is. It's terrific. I love it. It's a good time. So
Todd, I have a Royals mini bat.
Dude, the mini bats, you got the little mini helmets, so you get the ice cream in. Somebody was talking about those in the chat. Those are elite.
Was it a pizza shop? It wasn't Paulie's.
No.
Cody, Paulie's was the place to go after.
Yeah.
And he has since they got the relocation, and it's a little bigger and allegedly a lot better. But
isn't there one in Exarban of
Yeah,
Paulie's?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was like,
it's a brick. It had always been there. I don't know if anybody went there other than during the College World Series, but it was across the street from Zesto's.
I think it was a pizza place. That sounds right.
I can't remember.
I can't either. Because I don't think I ever went. I just saw it when I was at Zesto's.
So do you know I never would walk. I never ever walked south of taking that left to go into Rosenblatt to the zoo.
So I parked.
Zesto's was probably what?
The
20 yards further than I would have ever walked.
Really?
I never went to Zesto's.
So I would, for a few years, almost no one parked south of the stadium. So
because Radio Row was right along that street.
Yep.
And they would put the trailers right on the corner, which would be the southwest corner of Rosenblatt.
The entrance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never went past there.
So it was kind of a hack for a few years before people figured it out. But if you went like a block south of the zoo entrance, almost no one parked on the south side of the stadium. So you could get pretty close.
So you just have to pass and then walk back?
Yep. instead of parking north.
Interesting.
But people figured it out eventually. But I got really good parking.
So how
for a
much
few
further
years.
south of Zestos? Like a couple blocks?
Not even.
Really?
Like it was really close, and no one just thought to go past the stadium. It was wild. But it was, I don't think I ever parked more than 2 blocks south of Zestos, but it was way more abundant.
The more you know.
And you just had a bunch of people, like, honestly, I didn't even have to pay half the time. Like, I was just parking on a
What's
neighborhood
over
street.
there? A golf course? Or is it the industrial metal place?
So if you go far enough down, it's the industrial metal place, but that's on the west side of the road.
Yeah.
On the east side of the road, it's all neighborhood down there. It's
I have to drive by for old time's sake.
Shane's right though. Like there was a lot of intricacies where you're like, oh yeah, no, I know this little spot, and
There would be the places like over time where you knew that lot or that tent was serving certain. They got known for their whatever they were cooking off the grill.
100%.
That was back when sloppy joes were big too, or sandwiches or whatever they called them.
Ken says Rosenblatt's that dive bar you take a girl to when you want to vet if she's got wifey potential. The new spot is where you take a first date when you don't want to scare her off. That's actually kind of a good example.
Dude is nuts, isn't he? I tell you, just range. When we're talking about insurance policies, the next it's like
that's really, really funny.
Barley and hops.
No, I love it. I was a big Rosenblatt guy. I mean, listen, Marshall McDougal. That's like right in my wheelhouse. Like I loved those teams, but
I didn't have a college baseball team until probably 2000.
Yeah.
I just because I love this. I like the sport.
Yeah. That's when you kind of adopted Carolina full time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I do appreciate. TK was asking earlier if Coastal Carolina had any good gear. Yes. If you like that teal color, like they've got some sweet gear.
Yeah. And you've learned the difference between how to say chance, right?
Chance.
Yeah.
Not chance.
Right.
Chance.
But they'll eat you up.
Hey, oh yeah.
Ooh.
Kendall was right though, man. They came strong.
Well, it's just funny because he reiterated what you said about. It seems like there's a lot of coastal people.
Because like we get a pretty good sense where our booth is at because we're right at the entrance.
Yeah.
Next to the Hilton, like we're right there, so we get a pretty good idea of kind of who's there and how many of them. Like I said, Oregon State, and he brought up Oregon State. They travel super well. Man, there's a ton of coastal people. I mean, like your Arkansas LSUs are given, right? But
who do you think is more unfortunate that they got the loss, Oregon State or Arkansas?
I mean, like Kendall said, I think Arkansas is more
because Oregon State clearly ran into a buzzsaw last night.
Yeah, I mean, so did Arkansas. I mean,
yeah,
like you're not gonna beat many people when they're throwing like Anderson was. But I do think, like Kendall said, Arkansas is built to navigate their way back.
I still think Forbes, of the guys that took the bump the first weekend, I think Forbes had the most unfortunate luck. He was Dylan for Louisville.
Yeah.
Just Whitney just was matching him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But let's take a quick break here. We will come back, wrap up the show. Man, there's a bunch of stuff that happened this weekend we didn't even get to yet. Don't worry though, we got shows all week. That's DB. I'm Ravi. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next. I'm Ravi Lulla.
I'm Kenny Bell.
We're here from Hurrdat Sports. Don't worry, Metro Transit has you covered right here on the ballpark bus. Gonna run from right here down by the stadium, north of downtown, all the way up to Dodge Street, making a circle to drop you off wherever you need to go.
Oh, beautiful. So what's it cost?
It is free. It runs every 10 minutes, and it'll run almost all day until an hour after the last game. Or Kenny, if you're like me, you don't want to deal with driving downtown at all, Metro Transit has you covered there too. You can park out at West Roads for free and get a ride downtown through Orbit.
That's right. They added an extra Orbit stop at 10th and Capitol. Only $1.25. Fills up after the game. Quick, nice service right back out to West Roads.
$2.50 round trip. Can't beat it.
And free parking? You kidding me?
Plan your trip or track your bus at myride.ometro.com.
Or download the MyRide OMA app.
Here at Charles Schwab Field. Wilson, what was your reaction from the dugout, wherever you were, for that hit, that walk-off?
That was awesome. I was on deck, so I was ready to go up there and get the job done if I needed to, but that's awesome. That's one way to start off our trip here, so it was a lot of fun.
Now, why can't you count this Oregon State team out ever?
That's just kind of how we do it. We've done it the whole year, and we're excited to keep doing it.
How about the freshmen on the mound starting off for you guys? Whole pitching staff was great, but talk about Dax and what he means to this team just as a freshman in that spot.
It's just awesome to see him go out there with whatever the 24,000 people there was and throwing the same rock, same ball, and just doing what he does, punching it guys out and getting zeros. So that was awesome. He's an important piece for us.
You guys brought a piece of Corvallis here with you. How about these fans, and did you hear him throughout the game?
Definitely, for sure. Feels just like home here, even though you got a lot more people here, but we definitely feel at home here and we're ready to go.
Yeah, how about the emotions on the field there, the Gatorade bath, all of that? Is this what dreams are made of?
Exactly, that's what we dream about as kids, and now we're here doing it.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
If you want to meet Hurrdat Sports out here at the baseball village, this is the worst place to go on the Ferris wheel. But you would be able to find it because we are out at the corner next to the old mat. And you could find sunglasses, hats, T-shirts, all the good stuff. And who knows, maybe you'll even run into Kyle Byers.
Yeah, rally towels. We got a bunch of candy down there. It's awesome. You know, like the best time of the year is this event because you get to swing through. You get to literally see the entire team all working together from Hurrdat Sports, and we're giving away stuff.
Yeah, and what else would you rather do than come hang out with us, sweat a little bit in the humidity, and then ride the Ferris wheel, which you can tell the baseball game's going on behind us as well. Logan's behind the camera. I mean, it's a full team effort today.
Yeah, and you know what? You've got the Omaha skyline right over there. You've got the ballpark right behind us, and then literally 600 different types of food that you can buy on the way from there all the way to the ballpark. So, yeah, I mean, you literally can't get it any better than sitting down.
Give me that cheddar, nigga, and Rico. Big bunny rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Just taking a little trip down memory lane with our College World Series.
Cody has me
thinking
with Starsky's. Was it Starsky's? I don't know. Little brick and mortar place. It wasn't like a makeshift deal.
Starsky's Omaha. Well, there's still a Starsky's, but it's not down there. The only one I'm showing of Starsky's was at 78th and F, which would not be close.
Well, that's over by the impound.
Yeah, I don't think that wouldn't have been down there by Rosenblatt. Apparently, there was some good concerts over at Rosenblatt over the years too. I don't think I ever saw a concert at Rosenblatt.
I didn't do. The only real concerts I remember as a kid, as I went to Prince.
Okay.
And I saw Jazzy Jeff.
Did you?
And the Fresh Prince.
DJ
yeah.
Jazzy Jeff.
And Run DMC. There used to be a poster on my room.
That's kind of sick, actually.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
Other than that, and I don't even know why I got to go. I didn't get to do anything. Or as my mom said yesterday, don't make it sound so bad when you talk about growing up, so I apologize. But I don't know why I was at that concert.
Yeah, it's kind of random. That's kind of a random
I was a
one.
big Run DMC guy as a kid, though.
Yeah, were you?
Oh, yeah.
Big Will Smith guy as a kid. I love Fresh
Was
Prince.
it
I didn't even like
Really?
Different. No.
Was it the Raisin Hill tour?
Shoot, it might have been. My poster was black, and I can remember seeing fireworks on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it had the 3. Who was just here last week, and it was old school?
I'm not sure.
I'm like, they're still doing concerts? They were rapping when I was a kid.
QBA says, was it Shakey's Pizza?
So I don't want to say yes, but for some reason I did have pizza on the brain.
And that sounded right when you said it.
For some reason I do have pizza on the brain.
Maybe. We'll pending.
I don't remember the.
We'll see if I'll do some research tonight, see if I can figure it out.
Yeah.
No, so a couple of things catching up from the weekend. Which trade shocked you more? Desmond Bain or Rafael Devers?
Well, the haul that they got for Bain
was insane.
Is it 4 firsts?
4 firsts and a pick swap. And Cole Anthony. And KCP.
I don't understand.
I don't either, unless Memphis is I don't really understand it on either side, if I'm being honest.
You can't the 4
4 first is diabolical.
I was shocked.
Like, that's crazy.
But Memphis needs an overhaul.
So that was what I landed on. Memphis is blowing this thing up.
Yeah, Memphis needs an overhaul.
So
I told you last year I had to move Ja. I said nobody's star has fallen faster.
So I think it might be hard to move Ja for what they think he's worth.
Yeah. But with the 4 firsts, and I get it, it's a ways down the road. You can move him for less.
Here's the guy that's going to be really easy to move if you want to. Jaron Jackson's only making like $23 million
and he's really good.
And he's really good. And
when he plays,
and when he's not fouling a ton.
Hey, do you want to take the Chet Holmgren thing back while I got you? Or
which part?
Is he still stink or is he good?
I like Chet Holmgren. I said he needed to be better. He hadn't played that well.
He was getting ruined on Sports Talk.
And he was getting ruined by Miles Turner, too.
Yeah, but the guy missed 50 games. And
it's fine. I like Chet Holmgren.
He's pretty good the other night.
I really like Chet Holmgren. That's part of the reason I like this Oklahoma City Thunder team. I will say I didn't think he'd probably find that version of himself until next year.
Yeah.
I thought
he
found it.
Yeah.
He certainly did. But I like Chet.
Must have heard
a lot.
The critics. The Rafael, you know what's weird about that?
Yep.
Is there's only one other team that's won as many games in a row as they have, and it's the Astros. I said win, but because I think conversely, does anybody have more of a streak going, wins or losses, than Kansas City? Because I think they've lost 6 in a row.
I'll check.
Yeah, check the L's and W's. I think the Royals have the longest streak going, and it's 6 losses in a row.
The Red Sox have won 5 in a row.
And I think the Astros are the ones that are
5
close.
in a row. The Nationals have lost 8 in a row.
Oh, is it? Okay. So the Royals are in rare company.
Yeah, the Royals have.
Nats have lost
6.
Nats have lost a couple
8
of
in a row for the. I don't think you appreciate how angry I was yesterday.
I could tell by the.
I was like, I could feel it in my chest. I was so angry.
What was your franchise referred to?
Incompetent.
No, you said it. Somebody else.
Di Maria said they're unserious, which is fair.
Was it Stocks and Bonds, the bail bonds team? What?
No, I referred to her. Oh, this was on Twitter. I referred to them as if a private equity firm was running a baseball team.
Yeah, the private equity firm.
Like they're.
Somebody said, "Congrats on your private equity firms."
Yeah, TK said that in the chat because I assume he had seen my tweet yesterday. But like, I was more mad about. Actually, I'm more mad now because the Mookie thing at the time seemed like a one-off misjudgment.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of the first in a series.
He could have just been too much for that locker room.
Okay, that's fine. They didn't get anything for him. I love Jordan Hicks. Again, shout out T1D community. That dude has like a 6.8 ERA, and he's 28 years old. He hasn't found the strike zone in 7 years. He's probably not going to find it in year 8, okay? That's kind of how baseball works. All right? Harrison, the other guy, like a 4.8 ERA.
Yep.
No thank you.
Yeah.
Tibbs is a A-ball guy, right? He's got some power.
Got it, yeah.
Like, Florida State guy, I hope he succeeds.
Tibbs was a stud.
And then the other dude's in rookie ball, and he's like, he's tearing it up in rookie ball. Bello, cool.
Another good, guy with good pedigree.
That's fine. That's fine. You're trading a guy that you were like, hey, this is our franchise cornerstone.
While winning 5 in a row.
Yeah, sweeping the Yankees. You've won 5. It's the first time all year you've had any good vibes around this baseball team, and you're like, wait a second, I can fix that.
I'm telling you, that's one of those moves where there's something we don't know.
That's fine, but they don't have they have no goodwill with the fan base right now.
Yeah.
If you're trading Rafael Devers,
especially and Toronto's kind of come back to the pack because they were on a heater.
Boston is 6.5 back in the division.
Yeah.
Which is a lot, but not unconquerable. They're only a half game out of the wild card. They're a half game out of the wild card after winning 5 in a row.
You'd be looking at that.
I understand that, but so there's still a chance here. And Di Marina said, oh, they're not contending this year anyway. That's not the point. If you're going to trade the best player on your team, who I was told, this is why we had to get rid of Sale. This is why we had to get rid of Bogarts. This is why we couldn't re-sign any other damn person, because we have to have $300 million to sign Rafael Devers. Let's not pay attention to the fact that the football team that you own over in Liverpool just set a record for transfer fee, and then they have to pay a guy $157 million on top of that. Let's not pay attention to that, because you've got more money than God, all right, in your little franchise, Roush, Fenway, whatever ownership group you're calling it these days. Don't cry poverty to me. But all these guys that I was told, oh, can't afford to sign him and can't afford to sign him because we have to sign Devers. And then immediately after signing him, he lasted, let's count here,
Isn't
73 games into his extension.
Isn't baseball the most forgivable, though?
None of it's forgivable. This franchise has been taking
Probably.
This franchise has been taking a giant deuce on its fan base since 2018. They're like, hey, we got you 4 World Series in 14 years, which thank you, by the way. Now we're going to just run this thing into the ground and strip it for parts.
Hey, Pitt, double check this. I saw a stat. Did I read this somewhere? Since this past weekend, the AL Central is the only division in baseball that over the last 10 games doesn't have anyone playing over 500.
Ooh, that's a good
doesn't have anyone playing 500 baseball
over the last 10.
Yeah, is anybody better than 5-5?
No, Detroit is 5-5. Then you've got 2-8, 2-8, 2-8, 4-6. You know who the 4-6 is?
The Royals,
the White Sox.
Oh yeah, the Royals lost 6 in a row. Well, they still could have been them. So
Twins, Cleveland, Kansas City are all 2-8 in their last 10.
Real quick,
yeah.
Just see if there's a 5-5 and a 6-4 in every other division.
AL East, yes. Houston,
well, they have
AL
to
West,
because they've won 5 in a row.
National League East, yes. NL Central, yes.
And I know in the West.
And West, yes.
Yeah, it's the only division where nobody's played better than 500 baseball.
Unbelievable.
Because I think the point is you're still going to be in it because nobody is playing very well.
I mean, listen, I understand. Like, if you had said, hey, we're going to get rid of Devers because we like our lineup, we're going to bring up our 3 young guys, but we desperately need pitching. I'm like, all right, cool, I can live with that. You got a guy with a 6.8 ERA who's 28 years old, and another guy with a 4.8 ERA who's like 24 years old. Like, that's not upgrades.
Yeah, you're like, go Bello, go Tibbs.
I'm okay if you are like, hey, we have a valuable piece we have a valuable asset here that we can go and say, hey, we've got some real holes in this roster, and it's easier to replace with the prospects we have. Like, because I'm a Roman Anthony believer, right?
Even though
he's struggling a little bit on the way up, I get it. I'm a Marcelo Meyer
just
believer.
Playing balls in the outfield, he's fine.
Don't worry about it. I'm a Christian Campbell believer, right? I'm on board with these guys, and they played a bunch of young guys last year that I really liked as well, like Rafaela and some of those guys are really good. But I sit here and I go, okay, I understand if you want to trade some hitters because your pitching and your bullpen especially.
Your bullpen has been really, really
It's
bad.
been atrocious. They lead the league in blown saves. They lead the league in extra inning losses. Like, I get it. But then you have to go get good pitchers.
Yeah.
Does that help out Los Angeles out at all?
He's not worried about that. You want to get to Wyatt before we go?
Yeah,
Let's get to Wyatt. I'm sorry, Wyatt. I apologize. What's going on, Wyatt?
Just collecting his thoughts, Wyatt.
What's up, bud? You live?
Go
You there?
ahead, bud.
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, what do you got?
Well, I got a dumb end of the show story for you.
Love it. Let's go.
So I just got back from vacation. Took girls on a flight out to Virginia Beach. We survived. We got back. Anyway, while we were there, there was a pool. The oldest girl, my oldest, who's 4, she went out in the pool, made some friends. There's one girl. She was same age, blonde hair, blue eyes. And my oldest said, "Hey, what's your name?" And she says, "My name is Coco." And it made me really thought. I had a picture of Damon in my head, just kind of nodding his head. Said, yeah.
Wow. You know? What are the odds? And it happens to you.
Yeah. Hey, and it's the same reason I thought about it. Like, this is why I didn't name my girls either one of them Colby Jack.
Oh, no. Oh,
Did
no.
you just hang up immediately? Or was that you, Shane?
Oh, gosh.
I love cheese, though. Cheese is delicious.
Wow. Wow.
You a big Philly cheesesteak guy?
No, I don't like worm sandwiches.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, I'd eat it, but just the meat and cheese. I don't want the peppers and onions. You could add mushrooms.
The not liking warm sandwiches thing might be like your worst take.
Sorry.
That's pretty bad. I don't know. We may have to revisit that tomorrow.
It's not a fan.
I mean, like.
Not at all.
You like burgers, right? Isn't that a warm sandwich?
Technically.
We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.